Yeah, you got it, bro.
All right. All right. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one there is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under a free national constitution of the state government, and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. Hashtag 14th Amendment. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those who know law in the city hall and amongst the officials in your government, and ask them on an intelligent tone, and they will glad to render you a favorable reply. For they have for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a free national government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold of government again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. Hold up. Go back. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mind back to their own national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If the Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up any group of people, here we go. There we go. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, one must claim your national descent name, because they placed their trust upon issues and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have been recognized by true American citizens of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at that time without power with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared that all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. The lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above but if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do hereby believe that is being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good, but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin, and there is no nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their environment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that harms to human beings on earth. And they fought the southerner for these great misuses, but I have traveled in the South and I have examined the conditions there. And it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things bringing dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness to marvelous light from the private. Man, that definitely make you think about today for sure. Sheesh, they give you everything.
Yeah. I be getting goosebumps sometimes when I be reading it or hear somebody else read it. I'm like, dang.
Wow, because if you don't really know what's going on, what happened to you, this is definitely a brief. It's like when Martin Luther King standing in Washington and all the people down there in the water thing. Basically, nobody's really reading this. Like, yo, this is what's going on. You want to do better? You want things to be better? This. Like, man, this is a cold read right here.
Yeah.
Not saying I wouldn't think that before, but reading, I'm like, man, like, oh, 1774. Oh, this is why you're doing this. The word Negro and this. It's like, no, y'all do this. And it's nations. Like, this is what everybody's supposed to be doing. Everybody call themselves a nation, right? Like, this is how you operating? Oh, okay, cool. Shame on you. But I yield.
Fine. Before I continue, I wanted to see if okay. So I need everybody to scan me their nationality paperwork. And whoever has paperwork, clearly people that haven't declared and haven't had paperwork doesn't apply. But whoever has paperwork, I need that to get emailed to me scanned so I can upload it to the website. So it'll show membership that you're part of a body politic. You're a citizen of a nation state for a plethora of reasons, especially for the members that are exercising, utilizing nationality card, interfacing with policy enforcers and stuff like that. It's imperative, and they can go to the .org and see on the public record the declaration. I want to just say that, put that out there before I forget for today. Oh, whoever's thinking of okay, matter of fact, who's here right now? It is pretty much Ariel. Do you have any questions on Moore's title? What that is? Where are you at with your comprehension, Ariel?
I'm still in the process of comprehending. So, as far as titles, I'm just, it's better read it and then hear an explanation so I can tie it all together.
Okay. Well,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, whenever you have, I'm just gonna go through a demonstration, and
okay.
Like every Sunday, we're gonna have a demonstration pretty much queued up. But whatever gray areas that you have, this platform right here will be a miscellaneous question, anything like that for anything. And then, like I say, during the week, just hit me. So,
okay.
But outside of that, we're just gonna kind of go automatic, put information out, different concepts, and just take good notes on the concepts.
Gotcha.
All right, so I want to go into a little bit of trust law. We, over the past 2 months, we've been kind of lightweight covering it, talking about different parties. Grantor will be the creator of the trust. Trustee will be the administrator that the grantor will appoint to administrate the estate. And then we have the beneficiary, which would be the son, daughter, or whoever gets appointed to be the heir. The heir would signify all assets, trust funds that are created, car, property, house that gets conveyed into the trust and that becomes the estate will be the benefit of the heir or the beneficiary. So this is the fundamentals. What I'm going to do today is show a demonstration, because what's going to end up happening is as we grow as an organization and all members stay locked in and silent. What I mean by locked in and silent, because that's kind of connotative, or it is connotative. As we grow, we do temple dues. It's $10 a week. So by the sheer numbers, like I always give a classic example, if we had 100 members, 40,000, $250,000, 40,000 a year, $250,000 every 3 years. Why that's important? Because we have internal monies to get land, start farming, fixer-upper money for different things that we may see that fit our political agenda. XYZ. Because once you have land, now we can start out another business and we can start renting stuff out, and that's a business. And the way we renting stuff out, we can do it lower than what the going rate is for rent. You know what I mean? So long story short, before you get to that, You got to have locked in people that's consistent, and then it's going to grow. Then also another element is where we want the most competent people as we continue to grow to ideally do some missionary work, public outreach, where they're in the public face, rather than, ideally with some products and information pertaining to what our mission statement is, more its nationality, what it's about, why it's important to organize economically, politically, what that means in law, as far as what a minority is, what a minority is not, illustrious culture, being bigger than just we were brought here off a boat. We have an illustrious culture. A lot of our people may or may not know that. So we want to, we want to be in the public eye where they can come and be like, oh, okay, I see Fez a turban. I see maybe some merchandise. I see books. What's this about? And then we have a human being that could be like, oh, to live in society, X, Y, Z. So we need the reason why that's important is because that's how you get awareness on what we're about, and you get membership growth because of strength in numbers and its power in the people on a lot of different levels. So that's ultimately the vision. So, and as new members come, we want to make sure everybody's competent to do public relations and talk with the public in an intellectual way, right? Versus we don't want to offend nobody or anything like that. So, that's the fundamental summarized vision of our trajectory of what we're doing here. So one of those elements, since we're going into trust law, my point was, once you comprehend rights of indigenous people, once you comprehend trust law, and you see when we convey property, you'll see that it's protected under contract, in the Constitution. You have a contract clause, Article 1, Section 8. Nobody can infringe on a contract that is honorable contract, as long as there's no deception or fraud. And when you study contract law, you'll see its elements that make a contract binding or will make a contract not binding. It's an actual body of law, contract law, right? And we went over this the last couple of weeks. So one of them will be consideration. That'll be an element. It can't be a minor participating in the contract. You can't contract with a minor. That's another element. And that's just off the top. These are elements that when you study contract law, it will make a contract binding or not binding. So I'm just just scanning through some things that you're gonna want to be. Everyone will be not deemed, but it'll make the organization a lot better if everybody was competent in law, competent in history, how everything went down, competent in contract law, state law, or what the rights of indigenous people mean when indigenous people form an organization, and things we can do to get grants at the city hall level. Like we want to all be competent on that, and then we'll all move different, and our think tank will be different. Being more efficient. We were gonna bounce ideas off, and then you got people that's competent in astrology. You got people that may know how to farm. You know what I mean? So as we grow, you got people with different skill sets, and we bring this thing together. You know what I mean? And I just wanted to say that. So the 3 elements of a trust. The reason I'm bringing that up, because when we start acquiring property and claiming property as an organization, it may be an abandoned property. We may put interest in it, put it, convey it in our organization, put it on the public record. Our principles would be this. I'm gonna show a document that is from the county clerk's office. This is an actual document of a mortgage. And as you can see, oh, brother, King L, peace and love, man. Yeah, I got carried away. I seen you. I meant to greet you a long time ago. Islam, brother. Hope all is well.
Islam, all is well, yes, sir. Just tapping in.
Islam. Now, this is what called a deed of trust. Most people would just call it a mortgage. I got a mortgage, but literally it's called a deed of trust, which means that a trust exists. We're talking trust law. right? When you look at the parties of a trust, is everybody clear on, or anybody have any questions as far as what are the parties of a trust? I see something in the chat. How to live in contracts packet for print, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just putting. I was like, they got a pack by Todd Street Beta. Teach how to live in contract. Like a couple of pages. What bro was saying is about like a couple of points in there about it was like A through L. You know, a contract, not to take over what you were saying. A contract must show its preliminary makings. A contract must be producible, exist in evidence. A contract must produce and manifest in writing. You know, just a couple of things that you can go over. You know, perspective. But how you?
Yeah,
I was chat for those who want to check it out.
yeah, for sure. That'll be definitely helpful. And just contract law for dummies. Like, just check that out. So you can get the basics of what contract law is talking about.
Contract for law for dummies is crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Hey.
But that's kind of what this package is. It's like literally like set it up like that. Like he was saying, like it must be entered by free will. A contract must not be created under threat, duress, and coercion. That's like 14th Amendment. Like you try to attempt to proclaim a nationality, they give you that friction. You know, oh no, this is religious stuff. This is sovereign citizen. Do. You know, that's an infringement. That's a war. You know, that's phone time at that point. You might as well slap me. You're like, oh, you're infringing upon me. You know, exercising my First Amendment. You know what I mean? In writing. You know, I got a right to put my appellation on anything that I want and not want to. But I yield. But that assists with that.
No, it's a lot. Now, is everybody clear on the three parties of a trust? Like who those three parties are? Does anybody need that?
No, I might have missed that. Can you run that back for me?
Okay. So I'm gonna just put it on a Google so everybody can see the search engine that I'm about to type that I'm typing. Everybody can see that.
Heard, I see it.
Okay.
High from me.
So I'm gonna put three parties to a trust. Let's see what pops up. It should be some straightforward information. Okay. So we got the owner who transfers the property. That person would be called the grantor. That person would be called the settler, the donor, and there's also the trustor as well. That's another one. The person receiving property would be the trustee. The person for who benefit the property is being held would be the beneficiary. Pretty straightforward. Everybody straightforward with that?
So the trustor, the trustee, and the beneficiary.
Yep. The grantor, trustee, beneficiary.
So within the Morris paradigm, the grantor would be Noble Drew Ali, and then it would go down to I would say the sheiks, and then the people. Maybe the prophet issued, charters to the sheiks for them to operate within the temple, but the people benefit from what the prophet granted, which is our estate and our nationality. Like the prophet can't benefit from the trust from giving us our estate back. Kind of like the 14th Amendment, kind of like a whole little 360 deal. Like they benefit from that trust. Like Noble Drew Ali is not trying to benefit from the trust he created because it's for someone else, not for him. You know what I mean? And that someone else is the Moorish nation. But I yield if that's kind of
wow.
Is he when you saying? I thought with the land, the grantor is the person who possesses it, right?
The grantor is the creator of the trust. And just real quick, because I brought up trustor, the term trustor is a synonym for grantor. So the trustor and the grantor is the same thing. We just need to know the lingo. So the term trustor refers to an entity that creates and opens up the trust. So the creator of the trust, the grantor or the trustor, appoints a trustee, which will be an administrator to administrate his will or in a community trust, the people's will.
So the Grand Sheiks of the Moorish Science Temples of America have authority from the prophet to distribute, the beneficiary of the treasure will be our national titles. Our state would give us the silver and the gold and the land, or, to the city.
Yeah. And then, so that's a trustee, just administrator that carries out the will, right? Now, in our case, like the sheik, like the brother said, in a structure, more structure, the sheik, think of a Moorish organization, and then Moors do an election for a treasurer, sheik, secretary. If you put that in a trust lingo, those are called trustees. The beneficiary will be the general.
But I'm saying, like, okay, the temple I go to, the sheik there has to. Okay, for example, when you're saying they're creating the trust, right? The point is for us to wake up so we can realize that, so we can establish that authority, right? Because as of now, if I go to a random town and be like, I'm a sheik, whoop whoop, they're not trying to hear that. They don't care.
Right. So the key is right. That's the vision, is to wake the ground, boots on the ground. Like that's why I talk about I don't know if you came when I was talking about the missionary work or the public relations, where people know we exist and can be a competent ambassador on the scene of like, oh, okay, this is nationality or illustrious history. I didn't know that. I thought I was just shipped off a boat as a slave. I didn't know it was nobles and emperors and it was a caliphate and right. And what that means in law in real time today, and the political status and that all the documents that show that Moors were Aboriginal and Indigenous, and the importance of belonging to those type of organizations to invoke the rights of Indigenous people, and how this is connected to trust law is because, once again, an organization, in our case, that share the same nationality, that has elected officials, in our case, sheiks, assistant sheiks, any type of Moorish title that got elected by Moorish people, those would be considered trustees. The general members are the citizens that are paying dues and are faithful to the organization, or the beneficiaries.
So it goes to actually wisdom. It goes to the divine national warrant, from the Prophet, Article 1, when the brother was saying these sheiks are put in place, to enforce law and make law. And who was the person that brought back the law? Noble Drew Ali. So Noble Drew Ali is speaking from that trust store position, and trust store was a trust is the root word or suffix, type deal. So Noble Drew Ali is like, hey, sheiks, you're empowered to, to do this, that, and the third for the Moorish nation, for the Moorish people. Now, I want to say, not to butcher the first article of the Moorish Divine National Institution, he says this should be known amongst the Moorish people. So whatever the sheiks are doing, people got to know. Oh, there's one right here. Yeah. So this would be like a trust setup. Like Noble Drew Ali created the trust of the Moorish Science Temple of America would be the trust. And who benefits from that? Us, the people. When Divine Warning told us, you and your children will benefit from this. From what? Your nationality, your nationality and birthright. So in our case, we would benefit from getting our nationality and birthrights through the trust store, which is Noble Drew Ali. He didn't create the land, but he created an establishment that's set up on the land so we can operate on the land without being molested, like Brother Mafiel is doing, being industrious. He's in these corporate establishments, being himself, he's in garb, and he's given items that teach who we are, and that's the ambassador part. Oh, this is this. Oh, this does this. It's universal, but it's in a Moorish paradigm. Like you go into the Chevron and get a Coke. That's their establishment for their prosperity. You know what I mean? So brother doing the same thing. Like that hoodie, it helps his son. His son's son, and the whole Moorish nation. You know what I mean? You're not doing it for that, but just off of who he is, that's going to benefit the whole nation every time he puts a post up for that. So within the divine constitutions of Moorish America, he's Brother Mafiel and everybody else is the beneficiary of the Moorish estate. So now he can't be molested when he's uplifting and selling his, items for the uplifting of all humanity, which is the world. You know what I mean? So he's trying to keep it fair. but I don't know if I'm rambling or not. But I yield.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
long.
point. The Moorish Science Temple of America is set up as a trust, but we got to see it as that, and Noble Drew Ali being a trustor, and under Noble Drew Ali, the sheiks, and under the sheiks are the people. But the sheiks can't be like, on the high power tip, kind of like a manager at a job. You know what I mean? They can't get drunk off the position. They're just in position to delegate what needs to be done, within the corporation.
Yeah. Or in our case, the body politic or the nation state. That's what international law lingo. And,
For sure.
And its ramifications when you operate that with that type of organization. Like I say, you're not looked at as minority. Your political status is different. It's a group of people that know themselves and they working together in an organized manner. They centralize the finances. They got internal banking. They got missionaries and ambassadors to push the political agenda so they can keep growing economically and by body count. And now that's respectable now because, like I say, now we got internal money to get land, start farming. We got fixer-upper money to start.
I mean, not to be a naysayer, but that's really what I've been looking more into because I've been dealing with the temple, and right now it's split into 3. You get what I'm saying? So it's like the unification is like we don't even know where everything's going. So I've been looking at people who are, I don't know, I can only look from the outside looking in because, like I said, I deal with this temple over here, temple number 80. But people who are like dealing with, like you said, teaching our people, because now we have like immediate problems. The food, that's not nothing I could, you know what I mean? You got to stop eating that now. You know what I'm saying? Land, how much homelessness and all that we got going on. But as a full like national paradigm, I would have to ask like which umbrella is the honest one. You get what I'm saying? Because you have was it Kinu Omar Bey? Then you have the other brother. I don't even know all their names, but I know it's 3 different like factions going right now. You feel me? As far as person pushing Supreme Grand Sheik as a body, like it's 3 different bodies from my understanding.
Oh, right. I guess like 3. It's 3 different temple number 1s, basically, as well.
Yeah, and they all have umbrellas under them, so it's 3 different bodies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I say, the measure would be like you see Noble Drew Ali is talking about when you're talking about enforcing the Constitution. You're talking about enforcing the treaties. You're talking about enforcing international law in a certain way of government that has you can self-govern. You know what I mean? And enter into other international relationships with other people that got nationalities and culture, and they're doing the same thing infrastructure wise. We can link up now because we look honorable. Anything outside of that, it's like called a schism or a sect. It's a ceiling to that. We're supposed to have international ramifications with how we're moving as nationals. You know what I mean? Now we do have religion, but it's not exclusively. We're not a religious sect. We're a nationality of people that have culture. You know what I mean? But it's not just, we're not boxed in.
I get that. I'm saying like, okay, when it's time to like the trust and like everything you're saying, right? If it can't be 3 trustees, you get what I'm saying? Like we gotta know who we're dealing with. You dig what I'm saying?
Now in our case, let's just deal with what we're dealing with.
Like for example, okay, the temple I deal with, they're under Kinu Omar Bey. That's one of the temple number 1s or whatever. Like you get what I'm saying? Like so they fall under that umbrella. You dig what I'm saying? Like the different ones have their different agendas, if you get what I'm saying.
I think what the prophet told us that all of us should have one mind. We should all be headed in one
so I'm
direction.
saying, how do we go about that now?
I would say
that what I'm saying exists now. That division exists now. So how do we?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say they're putting the prophet out front because the prophet represents the religious part, the corporate part, economical part, all that. So if you're putting Noble Drew Ali out front, which I'm saying is like this is a person that we're speaking behind, and what he already instituted, we're doing the same thing. So whether we get friction or not, if these temple sheep leaders have the prophet Noble Drew Ali in front, despite the friction, I say that's who you follow. Not follow, but that shouldn't be a divide. It's like, okay, cool. This is.
I mean, all 3 of them got the prophet in the front. I'm saying, how do we? You feel
They
me?
have to be. Yeah.
How do we know which one is the? I mean, you want me to just say it? Like, how do we know which one is the real?
They follow the prophet. Like I would say the real Kenneland Moors, as far as an example. You know, despite the turmoil, the prophet is always out front. They're always putting the prophet literature out. They're always comparing what the prophet said to what's being put up against the prophet. You know what I mean? Because the prophet's gonna knock everything down. He took all the covers off. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. Not saying go follow Kenneland Moore, that'd be solid, but that's an example of a establishment that isn't, you know, divided. You know what I mean? You can see they've been traveling all over the land, not getting, you know, running into policy enforcers. They're having annual things for Noble Drew Ali, you know, without any friction. The temple has continues to be open, things of that nature. And you can see the progress up. See, like, okay, cool. This seems to be like a smooth path. And I would say compare that to where you at, you know, but if you don't see anything that's prospering, like you say, you like, why is it 3 different mindsets here? It should be one, you know? So clearly those 3 different mindsets are putting Noble Drew Ali in 3 different categories. Because it's like, if what Noble Drew Ali has brought universal, why is it divided into 3 heads? You know what I mean? Like, you know, the Khalifa Society, the same thing as the Kenneland Moors. Like, the brother's industrious. You know, he's always putting the prophet up front. We're always reading the divine warning. We're always coming from trust law. You know, always keeping it that way, always talking about land, you know, despite whatever mind comes inside of the zone, it's always one way. You know what I mean? So I would just be like, you know, make sure that person always got the prophet first, not in a dogmatic way, but in a jurisprudent way. You know what I mean? That type of deal. But I don't know if that answers it, but that's how I see it. Because even in Alabama, like someone asked me that I go to a temple in Huntsville, and I was like, no, I don't physically go to the temple because, you know, not saying I don't believe in the whole thing, but they're not thinking jurisprudently. They might as well be a Baptist church. You know, I'm not hating on that, do that, but if we want to get land, stop the homelessness, get certain food, stop eating this, we're going to have to get away from those carnal customs and jump into this jurisprudent mindset. And it starts with the trust law thing. So if we can all just have Noble Drew Ali trustee or the trustor and the grand sheiks of all temples across North America, just get behind that, we'd be solid. It remind me of that the video I was watching yesterday when the Grand Sheik decided to sue the other Grand Sheik because he wanted to be the guy on top instead of just carrying out the principles of love, truth, free, freedom, and justice. So right now, that seems what's happening where you at. It's like these sheiks are just departed from the core principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And that's simple. That's only 5 things. So if you got 3 different mindsets, which principle are they not operating off of together? You know, are they not seeing love together, peace together, freedom together, truth together, justice as one? You know what I'm saying? Kind of like all the coaches in the NBA. They all kind of got to coach the same, but in a different manner. But they all got one goal, and that's a championship. And our one goal is uplift and follow humanity. So whatever Grand Sheik within the bounds of what the trustee CEO Noble Drew Ali said, and that would be Adam Stern. So if it's outside of what Adam Stern does, you're gonna be doing what you need to do. So that's how I would see it. Like, nah, you playing overseas type basketball. You know what I mean? Kind of like the whole Muslim and Moor thing. Not to offend, but it's like, you know, you can't play Muslim rules in a Moorish paradigm.
Right.
Yeah, but you know, maybe they fell off the principles. So maybe that's why there's 3 different mindsets. You know, but I use carry on.
What's your thoughts, brother? King L?
Huh?
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on? Did you have any other thoughts?
I just okay, like me personally, right? I haven't really found a problem with the temple I frequent. I just found that when I leave outside of there, it feels like I hear the piece, I hear we all on the same, I hear that in words, but it feels like everybody competing, like, here, come talk to me. Don't go to them, they in the temple. We don't even talk to them. Come over here. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the vibe I've gotten as I step outside of these 10, 20 people right here on this block and start talking to other ones. It's like, nah, come over here. Or come over. It's like, I thought it was a cooperation amongst, you feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, even when you're saying Kenneland Moors, I know exactly who that is. I deal with Cujo. He's way in Canada, brother. If
For
I gotta
sure.
go way to Canada, I don't give my money to somebody way in Canada when I got a brother right around the corner with a Feds hat on.
I
It's
feel that.
confusing.
I feel that for sure. But yeah, it goes back to that. Like they sound like I'm saying like, hey, don't mess with these guys doing this, they doing this. But that seems to be the nature. Everybody get it. There's information the same, but how you take it and distribute it is different. It's like, why are we trying to water down the same dope if we all got dope? You know what I mean? Not to put it in them terms, but you calling yours
That
blue
makes
magic,
sense. Yeah.
you putting fentanyl in yours, you got baking soda in this, and at the core of it, nationality and birthright. So you putting this in your nationality and birthrights and give it to this person. Like, no, you got to operate your nationality and birthright like this. So I would say that's a testament to trying those weak minds. Like, you're intelligent brother. So like you going around these minds like, oh, okay, cool. That seems a little not unity. But that's the game now. So it's like that's the handful that's gonna be saved. That's just the tough titty. Excuse my friends. It's like, damn, like that's everybody not gonna get it. It would be beautiful to go to these group memorials and get the information off and oh yeah, kumbaya. Even like now, right? You know, it's a handful of us in here. You know what I mean? It'd be lovely to have a gang of people in here and we go out after we leave the Zoom. The same thing like you said. You know what I'm saying? You can run into someone that knows nothing about Morris, but get into it, give them some information, and they bump into somebody else like, hey, this Morris said this, but it shouldn't be that Morris said this because Morris should have one mind. You know what I mean? But I would say that's just a testament to the handful being saved and all the weak minds that are being tried. So if someone is turned the path or can't think straight as everyone else, is like, well, shame on you. You know, everybody not gonna get it. It's unfortunate that, you know, everyone can't see the same page because everyone had different spirits here, and that's just something we gotta kind of, you know, look over. And that's a testament to saving self. You're like, oh wow, a lot of people not gonna get it, so at least I can do is just not be selfish, just like I'm gonna think about myself, but put a lot of it on you. Like I'm gonna get it internally, and whoever I come across, I'll give it to them. But I know I'll be good. You know, I got what the prophet brought for us. You know what I'm saying? He brought this for everybody. So if they want to take it and put it in the corner, that's on them. But it just sucked that to see that everybody's not going to be on the same page, and that's just kind of the reality of it. You know what I mean? You're always going to bump into someone that has a different mindset because those are the spirits that are on the earth right now. You know, that's a lot of false, quote unquote, prophets, false teachings. Everybody's trying to fill their pockets, and you can't hate on them because it's scarcity out here. But that's come to love with one another. Like, why would I send my bread to Canada when around the corner you more are doing this? I should be able to do this. Like, we share the same dirt, right? We go to the same gas stations, we go to the same Walmarts. You know, we're not hating on the, you know, in Canada, but in Canada they should be doing the same thing together as we're doing in the lower parts of the continent. But that's not the reality. You know what I'm saying? We just gotta help good Moors do good and be prosperous. You know what I mean? So you bump into somebody and they help you, you know, for your campaign. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? It's always the two in the back, as Cujo would say. You know what I mean? We want the masses, but we're always talking to the two in the back. And everybody here is probably part of that two in the back within the whole BS. But I yield on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Islam. And once again, brother King L, that's why we're here. You know, you're gonna link up with the ones you're gonna link up with that. And that's all we can do. And that's why we do that. We want to do the outreach and centralize to what we're doing. That's why the jurisdiction, I can't speak for sheiks or any other Moorish body, right? That's why it's Khalifa Society. I can speak for that and how the mindset of how this body of Moors is moving. Like, you know what I mean? Or, you know, the principles and how we moving. You know, so that's all you can do. And as months and years go on, you're gonna see the fruit. You're gonna see that's all you can do. Now it's a measure, okay. They're trying to get land. About to, you know, meeting at City Hall, trying to invoke the rights of indigenous people so we should get some grant money or a district going, ecosystem going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Physical location so we can operate a storefront, temple meetings, right? We can rent it out for people that need spaces they might want to do with XYZ. That's a Moorish business. That's where the mind frame of Khalifa Society is. I can't speak what other people are doing because it's not for me to speak on. But and keep in mind, like me personally, I came across Moorish what a more was period 2018, 19. So I just took that, got the fundamentals and the principles, like the brother was saying, that Prophet Noble Ali left behind to invoke. He living what he's leaving behind is for us to invoke international law, for us to work together as a body, as a nation state. Get back, and that's why back to the illustrious culture. That's why all that stuff matters. We have sultans in the empire because we have a measuring stick of our ancestors organized amongst themselves and humbled themselves and disciplined themselves to even have an empire. Because the empire is just an organization of people that decide on one accord, we're gonna run it like this, and we're gonna protect it like this, right? So we have the ability to organize amongst ourselves, right? And like I say, once we start operating like that, other nationalities of people are gonna respect what we're doing. They're gonna assist, karmically, divinely, because the whole world know who the Moors are. It's not a secret. They know the people that's black, Negro, colored, Latino, and Hispanic is really Moors. They know they're gonna offend us if they, you're not black, right? There's not that. They can't talk to our people like that. Our people is emotional. So that's why we got institutions like this. We gotta do outreach with level-minded ambassadors that represent the organization out in the public, letting it be known what we about. Like any other institution, like the brother used the terminology campaign. That's what it is, campaigning, but for a righteous reason, right? We're trying to get our people, with some political status, standing, and organizational structure. You know what I mean? As we grow, we're gonna the organization to get tighter. Eventually it won't be the Zoom, it'll be a physical doing. More participation. Now we got positions. Start doing more elections for different positions for people that are gonna hold it down and be solid and have allegiance. Okay, boom. Right. So we're gonna continue to grow as the participation and the discipline and the allegiance of the people can go. We can only go as far as the people, right? And we gotta have some ambition. You know what I mean? We out here. I love this. I love this space. It's the best time of my life. I love what I do. I love talking to the people, and they get starry eyed on information. Or thank you, I appreciate that, man. You got a heart, man. You really broke down, and I did not know that. I didn't know that we had an illustrious culture. You know what I mean? People I talk to, bro, like that's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Seeing it in real time is crazy. Not saying, but I'm sure every day you like really turning the light bulb. You see the light bulb in people's face real time when you saying stuff. You're like, I'm sure that's having an inspiring show.
Yeah.
It's only gonna be a handful of saves, so that's the tough part. Even your fam too. And when I first got into it, like three years ago, I wasn't like, hey, let's be more than woo, but you kind of want your people to get on and all that. But it's like, wow, that's the prophets, prophecies again. It's like, man, that's the cold part that make it manifest. You're like, well, that's really real because you talk to your family every day. If anybody should be on it, the core people to help would be that, because more science would help everyone, but definitely help your core family and like who don't want to take these core values and impute them into the home. You know what I mean? And then out into the world when you lead a home. So like, love, truth, peace, and justice is a rocket science.
And that's
kind of like you want to clean your room. It's like, man, that's what I can do that anytime, and that's kind of the attitude we got. Like we emotional and all that. We whatever. Like love, truth, peace, and justice. We can do that, whatever. But you constantly want that, but you don't exercise it. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we building. We building now. It's trajectory. It's going. It's notoriety, consistency. It's gonna take off.
And you never know. I've been in the malls out there in Cali, but you get one of them little kiosk things they have in the mall. You got the regular stores in the mall. In the middle, you got the little store that people sell the actual items. You know what I'm saying? And Brother Mafia can get in there. How much foot traffic in the mall. Just speaking of being industrious, and getting the word out and being an ambassador. You know what I'm saying? As well. And there's someone seem like, oh man, because the Indian, quote unquote, Indian people do it. They got incense. Chinese people selling the sweaters with Benjamin Franklin on, and our people love that type of stuff. I ain't frankly going to that Chinese store and get the off-brand Trulit and stuff, the dazzle stuff, selling our culture back to us. So why not go to somebody who's actually an actual culture? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, Benjamin Franklin with a bandana around his head, dazzled out. Those are carnal customs that are being sold back to our people. It's unfortunate to see that 80% of the people are doing it, but it's good to be a part of the 20%. Not saying you're better than them, but it's like, wow, I saw the love in myself with what Noble Draw League brought. And that's the first principle. It's like, okay, cool. And you can't get love in you. It's like, man, that shit ain't the easiest thing. Love ain't a hug and a kiss and shit. Love is maybe like, hey, you can't do that right now. You gotta cut that out. I know you like to do that, but for you to move forward, you gotta chop that off. That's real. That's love as well. And a lot of our people not there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe in a lifetime. But right now, the good Moors that are doing what they got to do will leave something for those Moors that see it, kind of like us. You got your C. Liels, your CM Bays, and we're using their information right now. So 20 years, 50 years from now, they had a crib Bible. You know what I mean? If I'm saying, the blue Bible.
Oh no, they got that now already.
Yeah. So it's like, you leaving your mark right now. So 20, 30 years from now, that'll be something that comes. So it's like,
I wasn't gonna interrupt the thing and do this. I wasn't trying to plug my thing, but yeah, I got this right
you
here.
go ahead.
I got the blue Bible. I just don't be wanting to bring it up because that ain't the topic of the.
It's all universal.
It's
all universal. Like
Yeah.
it helped, man.
I'm doing the deal too for the holidays, 2 for 1, buy one get one. You know what I'm saying? So
come get it while they hot. Come get it while they hot.
Sir. But what I've been doing with this is this what this is about. It's not even about like being in my ego and making the Crip Bible. When I met Cosmo L, he actually revealed to me that this mystery I heard about all my life about there being a Crip Constitution, even though I grew up in it, even though my mom and all this and that, I never knew about a Crip Constitution.
I remember saying on No Jumper too. It's kind of crazy. I'm like, that's a dude on No Jumper telling people we were more. It seemed crazy.
Yeah, when on No Jumper, that's why they never let me come back on there. They never let me come back on after I did that.
It seems surreal, and that's a testament to Noble Draw League again, because that's a hella Negro Black Color platform. He was like, bro was like, if y'all want to call yourselves that, he's like giving them the game for real. I'm like,
yeah. They got mad at me about that.
That's real.
But what I break down in this book is that even in the Crip world, where I traveled all through the country and been to jail and this, that, and the other, it wasn't until it was a sheik that told me, oh yeah, y'all have a constitution written by Danifu Kareem Bey. When they looked them up, found out what the Constitution was called. And all that. This is the Crips.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come to find out the Bloods go back, when you see the red flag and you see them calling each other blood and relative, and you see Damu and you see this Eastern culture, when you see the connection with the BPS and going back to Jeff Fort, Chief Malik and the El Rukins. When it got to even in the 5% Nation, the dudes I was meeting that actually were applying the science and getting themselves away from the law, they were actually going to the temple and applying the science. You know what I'm saying? So what I talk about in the book is how no matter which route I went down, it led back to the same place. You feel what I'm saying? Autonomy based on our present royalty, our previous royalty. You feel me? And whether it be Empress Verdiachi Bey or the nation or whatever, it still boiled down to more science. Even when it went to historically, before all this stuff we're talking about, when you look at Mansa Musa or Yaqub al-Mansur, it's feel me? It's still going to more science. When you look at Egypt, everybody talk about, you're not gonna find us in Egypt. I always argue with brothers about this. You're not gonna find us in Egypt. You're gonna find us when you stop thinking about Egypt and the brand name and get to this more science of breaking down Marty and who we really are there. And you'll notice every time it's a dynasty with our people that's dealing with lands that we can link ourselves to now. Because I was very naysayer when I was in prison learning all this stuff. The first thing I saw that said, okay, let me listen to this, is when I saw a book by Cosmo L talking about us, instead of all this religious stuff, we always talk about the Holy Lands and how your outfit look. I read a book say he was this dark. He talked about the Treaty of Jaffa, where they actually signed a treaty describing the El Maghrabis and which lands go to them. You know what I mean? That was the first time it was introduced to me.
That's heavy science.
Historical royalty on a legal level. So that's really what I talk about in this book, is just connecting the streets, whether it be people that you like to use the N-word, blood, Crip, Stones, Vice. I show them how I've been down all these paths and they all led back to the same place,
It's kind of like meeting the people where they are. You ain't trying to dumb down the message. He's like, no, bro, like, this is the mindset we in, but within this mindset, we can elevate. We can use the literal mindset we in as a stepping stone.
I feel like I'm bringing something new to the table, because I'm not. I know people say that, right? They say, "Are you meeting them where they at?" I said, like, no, because if I'm a Crip and I go to listen to the Moors, they're not going to tell me about the Crip Constitution or the Nifu Kareem Bey. I'm bringing something new to the table. You know what I'm saying? If I go to a meeting, they're not going to start talking about the El Rukins. If I go to a meeting, they're going to start talking about Nigas, Naga. I'm bringing something to show the streets that even you are part of this. You feel what I'm saying?
So a lot of Crip don't know about like the Crip Constitution or the concept of a constitution. You know what I mean?
A lot of people don't know about Chief Malik, who's still alive today.
Oh man,
He's still alive today. It should be 1 million documentaries made about this dude, but they making stuff about Freeway Rick and BMF and all that. And this is a person involved in the streets,
yeah.
in the hip hop culture, whatever. So they wipe us out of every facet.
Yeah,
They give you some Wu-Tang, they give you some Farrakhan. They're not gonna give you this though.
No,
sure.
as the prophet said, we're buried on a mountain of lies. So that's just another testament to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, where they're not telling, they're putting out the BS stories, like you said, the BMF, the powers and all this stuff. But like you said, you got Chief Malik in there. You know, why was he doing this? You know, it was structured. Why was he dealing with people across the seas and, you know, they're calling us terrorists and all this shit like that? Like, you got to really, you know, get into the truth and the details about
That's another thing I bring to the table is that of all these street organizations, the only one that made it to actually connect across the waters was the one that implemented Morris Science. You get what I'm saying? And that's why he's incarcerated for terror right now.
And that speaks to the international part, because like Prophet said, no one's gonna recognize you, you know, if you're not living by national principles. So clearly they were living by national principles, and people across the water saw that. They can interchange. Even a little ghetto Chicago. They're not supposed to be talking to people across the Atlantic or Pacific. They're like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? They don't, that's not Thanksgiving talk. That ain't February Black History Month talk. They're not talking to them guys. They spending really surely. They sending federal notes over there. They doing how they doing and getting their stuff together. Woo-woo. The same thing the U.S. is doing, but the U.S. doesn't benefit from that. You know what I mean? Not saying, I'm sure it will lead to.
Well, also too, you gotta look at it like this too. Just keeping the street people in mind, because the Blue Bible, right? So it's that. How many of our brothers, how many got cousins, uncles, all that we saw going to these prisons or going to these situations and come out with Islam, but not talking about what we're talking about? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's bringing something new to the table. There's plenty of my brothers that go into these prisons and come out talking about alhamdulillah and, you know, we were Moors and this, that, and other, but they're not understanding the paradigm that we're coming from. That's why I explained about Jeff Fort, El Rukin, his relationship with Gaddafi.
But can I interject? Can I interject real quick? Just because for other people that's on here,
Yeah.
I want to draw some parallels from what both of you all were saying. Now, the international ramifications by the dealings with Gaddafi. That was a Moorish. The El Rukins were a Moorish body politic, an organization. They were a nation state. This is a Black Law Dictionary. What a state. A people permanently occupying a fixed territory bound together by common law. That's constitution and treaties, international affairs, habits and customs, into one body politic exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty and control over all persons and things within its boundaries, capable of making war and peace and entering into international relations with other communities of the globe. So when you're a nation state with a nationality, you organize with other your peers that share the same nationality, you have international status now. You're not a minority. You're not chattel property, Jim Crow. You're in that status. And now you can interface with other nation states, other people that know their nationality and organize and have peers. That's why it was Dylan's. That's why it was Dylan's. You know what I mean?
And that's a testament to being recognized by other nations. As the prophet said, you know, being recognized by the nation, you're operating as a nation within a fixed permanent territory. And as the Chief Malik said, ain't no killing gonna be without no killing. I'm not doing that, but that's war and peace. He's like, hey, an action causes a reaction. Ain't gonna be no killing without no killing. And once again, I'm just attesting to the war and peace part in the fixed territory. Like, you know, we're stationed here. You know, we are who we are, and you know, modern Europeans are infringing on this. So, you know, force will be met with force. You can't flee, bring the world upon their head. Like we represent peace, but you know, if that's war upon us, we're gonna do what we gotta do. But them operating within a national capacity, being recognized, goes back to that, you know, that what brother showed for sure. Yeah.
And back to the nationality, because we got to, since we're on this topic, we got to get back to the root. We still in the law dictionary. We had, what is nationality? What does that determine? Your political status, right? Your quality, character, right? So talking about a status that's international now. But let me go into my original point was making sure everybody knew elements of the trust and the three parties. So everybody's clear on the three parties of what a trust is. Grantor or trustor, trustee, and grantor. Everybody clear on that?
You got Noble Ali, the Sheiks, and then the Moorish Americans. Within that, the three parts, yeah, Noble Ali, for my understanding, I'm saying this is how I look at it. Trustor, we Noble Ali, the creator, Moorish Ensemble of America, and he gives what he created to the Sheiks to administrate to the Moorish nation. So the beneficiaries would be the Moorish nation, and the people that administrate it or quote unquote control it would be the Sheiks through Noble Ali, what he already started. Sheiks are just a manager of the Moorish Science Temple for the Moorish Americans of North America, from my understanding, through the three branches of, you know, trust or value.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's definitely that's an aspect of trust for sure. But I want to make sure people know it in terms of like if they create a family trust for themselves or like any Moors organization, anybody of Moors that come together and decide to create an organization and they have the will and they make elections and they be like, you know, operate in that trust form. I want to make sure everybody knows the positions. Everybody clear on that as far as the positions and what the positions mean. Everybody clear? Anybody?
Yeah. The benefits.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, I'm clear.
Okay. So now I'm going to show a document of a mortgage. When in the future, we're going to start conveying property into trust as under organization. The principles that we need to be seasoned on is to identify fraudulent contractual things when we see it. Stuff that makes things not binding. Most people will call this document a title or a mortgage. We see it's called a deed of trust. So we see a trust exists. All right. So since we know the three elements of a trust, let's look at Kevin Lee right here. He is, quote unquote, the borrower, quote unquote. So we're already looking at something that doesn't exist, quote unquote. Now, right here, the borrower is the trustor under this security agreement. So we identify one party of a trust since we already know the three parties. The trustor or the grantor is Kevin Lee, quote unquote, the borrower. So he really created a trust, but he's quote unquote the borrower. I'm not saying quote unquote, that's the lingo in this deed of trust. That's on the public record. In all deed of trust, or all mortgages for that matter, in any state. So follow me here. Who's the trustee? The trustee is the bank. Bankers Express, LLC, California Limited Liability Company, in Ventura, etc., William Hills. Who's the beneficiary? MERS, the Mortgage Electronic Registration System, or whatever. MERS is the beneficiary under the security agreement. So MERS was elected by these people, Express Bank. So what are we looking at here? We're seeing three elements of a trust. So Kevin Lee created the trust, appointed the bank to be the trustee, and the beneficiary is MERS. Why is this a fraud? Because for one, the trustee and the beneficiary can't have the same interests. Like the trustee can't just appoint beneficiaries. Kevin Lee would have to do that.
So are you saying here that they have taken all three positions of the honest transaction and made you the borrower to where you're not really owning anything?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just making sure, because I heard what you say. I'm just, yeah, okay.
Yes.
That's cold right there.
On top of the fact, when we study contract law, trust law, estate law, specifically contract law, we're dealing with consideration. The bank is supposed to give you some money so you can get a house. You never get anything. No consideration. That's the lingo in contract law. You never got anything. So if anything happens in the future for a foreclosure, they can't come after you and saying, "Oh, we gave you this." So, that's why we foreclosing. I never got nothing. And then when this is beyond the scope of this session, but like I say, the Fair Debt Collection Act, you got RESPA, you dealing with securities, SEC, which is SEC, Security Exchange Commission, on how to deal with security instruments. Because that's what a mortgage is. It's a security instrument. It's being monetized and securitized. And people are investing in these things in the form of bonds and stuff like that. So when you're dealing with stuff like that, it's specifics on how you got to go about that. That's why it's imperative to know that so we can spot the fraud. Because like I say, later in the game, when we start acquiring property because it may be abandoned, but you look on the record, it has a last owner of record, it may be a bank. And we want to be sound on principles on how, banks can't own property, only humans can. Okay, we're going to let it be known that we're putting this in trust, put it on the public record, and
Exactly.
wait for somebody to challenge it. If they don't, then it's smooth. If they do, they're gonna have to challenge it on lawful points in open court. And we got the right of claim.
Yeah.
Right. So that's later. That's more advanced. But we're trying to, go through a system of purging, getting competent, a brotherhood, some allegiance, some consistency. And then by the time we get to this point, we're gonna be like, oh yeah, let's make this happen to feel good. Like, you know what I mean? But so yeah. So now, any questions on this? On any level?
That makes sense.
Do we see how a trust was created?
So, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
So in this case, the mortgage company is the beneficiary, and the borrowers, in this case being the husband and wife, they are the trustors. So in a sense, they're putting all their money in the form of mortgage payments for the beneficiary of the mortgage company, with the bank company or the finance company administrating it.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. That's what's going on blindly. Kevin Lee doesn't know that that's going on. And that's another reason why this contract's not binding, because it's not a meeting of the minds. This is some deception.
So making it like as layman terms as we can, what has happened here is you've been entered into an agreement where no one has had to exchange anything except for what you're going to go out and grind and work hard to give to them.
Exactly. So everything you're giving them is a bonus. They getting extras from off the drip.
Yeah, I get it now. Okay.
Your first mortgage payment was extras. They didn't give you nothing. That's how they winning.
So this is like an extreme form of OPM.
Right. So, but this is what we want to know. Like I say, I recommend everybody study, like I say, contract law 101 and just get the basics of what makes a contract binding and what it, certain terms, like I say. And then when you see documents like this, you be like, oh, well, this is fraud.
That packet is crucial. That's like an 8-page packet. Crucial for sure. They got like 25 bullet points about we also want you to become familiar with some of the various forms of contracts so we can work towards being more aware. But it's like certain hazardous contracts, communicative and independent contracts, express, implied mutual interests, mixed contracts, fair and reasonable contracts, a ton of them. Quasi contracts, record, simple, specialty contracts, or principal and accessory contract, personal contract, patrol contract, written contract.
That's what I meant. I'll see you next week. I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Oh, yeah. I'm just naming, backing you up about the contract law, about how you see this document, because contract law. You know what words to see, you know, what phrases and all that, and actual stare decisis, because you want to have, you know, adjudications that have already been settled in the court, quote unquote, that backs the Constitution. You know what I mean? You're not using that, oh, this is quote unquote law. You know, you've already disputed about this, and your answer has already been submitted into, you know, Supreme Court or whatever. So now we're using this stare decisis to back up our claim via contract. You know, via based off the contract, these people had a contract, and this was the outcome. So based off the constitutional outcome, this is why you gotta respect it. But
Yeah, it's already been decided. You know what I mean?
yeah. So you ain't gotta make them. Then you're like, no, this has already been decided. So what you doing? Why are you trying to get extras? As you said, like, whoa, calm down. Like, you know, when I signed the bottom of this, I put my appellation. That was it. That was a closing deal. So why am I keep coming back, keep giving you chili for the rest of my life? If I got the deed and all this, not own the property and all that stuff.
And
But
now,
sharecropping at the end of the day.
so now that we know that we see, because this is the lingo universal. It don't matter what state, it's gonna have the same lingo, and you're gonna see a trust that was created. So now that we know that, we see abandoned property. We start putting out another. We have adverse possession laws too. We're talking about trust law right now, but you got adverse possession laws for every, even in the municipality, every quote unquote municipal state is adverse possession laws, and most of them say once you start putting interest in it, meaning like you start fixing the line, do a little drywall, a little patch up the roof a little bit, you become an owner, and then you become full out owner after opening the notorious operation of that land. Of I think it varies for each state, but I think it's 2 years, 3 years. It depends. So on a lot of different levels, it's advantageous for us to be prepared for things like that, because we want to have capital to pull the trigger on, to even have fixer upper money. That's the whole point of the economic side of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can invoke the trust law. Now we can invoke the rights of indigenous people. And like I say, on the nonprofit civic organization side, we can get grants on our mission statement. You know what I mean? Just by having a conversation with councilmen from different municipalities. They'll you never know. That's why my plan is to deal with districts that have nationalities. Like I said, the Chinatowns, the little Koreatowns, the mayors of those areas, because they're going to, in my mind, I feel like it's going to be a better dialogue, a better meeting of the minds on where we're coming from with our mission. I feel like they'll be willing to get some grant money if it's presented. I might even do a little whatever PowerPoint demonstration or whatever, a slide demonstration, and even appeal to the people that we're talking to. Because if it's a little Koreatown, we're gonna show how what I'm saying, the Moors is over there, the indigenous Moors and the different song dynasties, and we're gonna put it together for them and let them know, like, look, we trying to uplift all of humanity, and we know the ancient culture too. They gonna respect that, and that's why I say it's better to have an international mind than like the boxed in mind or experiences of people you might have ran across that may just be strictly on, it's like church. Like it's like going to the back, like the brother said, it's like going to a Baptist church. They just gonna repeat, verses, and they're gonna stay in a certain space. And I guess gonna get our people nowhere, man. So okay, so I wanted to share this document just so people can see where it's at. And things like this, man, like how I just put Moors people, how this image came up. This is good when we're dealing with our people. Like, who are Moors? You show somebody this, like I'm talking about blank canvas, doing your missionary work. We really Moors. They're misclassified in the United States Census Bureau as Black, Negro, Colored, Latino, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, and Indian. You know that, right? These are Moors? They look like this. They look like me. They got all this royalty on. They got this fly garb on. That gives them something to compare to versus shipped off a boat. Africa. You know what I mean? So I like, you know, just picture worth 1,000 words, man. The simplest things. So
Where's Bond?
you
I
know,
know pictures, sure. Pictures for sure. I can say is it doesn't matter how well studied I am now. Pictures for sure was something that helped me because me being someone who like took pride in my knowledge or whatever, I wasn't really, you get what I'm saying? I was down to argue. I was down to tell you that didn't matter or that didn't happen like that. I was one of those, So uh for me, like for example, my father told me what more mean when I was a kid. I didn't really need the convincing. For me, that didn't mean anything as far as it translating into our culture and our daily lives. It just meant, hey, did you know? You know what I mean? Like some trivial information. It was once I was amongst like this community, and I could honestly say, like, once you're amongst this community, let's just call it, because in North America, you have a bunch of different groups of our people who are trying to figure out who they are, right? So what I've noticed is this: we can argue about religion because our people have such a diverse background. We can argue about where we come from. We can argue about all these things. What you can't argue about is what's documented in law and facts, right? And I'm not even going to say religion or even cultural, just organization, period. I can honestly say, Mo, the only organization I came across, and I travel around, is the Moors, based on, even with the division or different whatever a naysayer person may have, is dealing with reality. You get what I'm saying? And even if I add on, if I come to more, I'm like, did you know this? It's got to be something in reality. It can't be like, did you know in chapter such and such it said the mystical dog? Like, who cares? You know what I'm saying? Like, we deal with law, and what I love about it is that, like how you saying with your missionary work, when dealing with the people, it's like, okay, like how you said, I think it's always good to have things on deck to show them, because what I realized is this: when you're dealing with the people, you're going to the problem head on. So you have to dig them out of the grave that they're in, if that makes sense, right? So I like to point out to them things that they're already into, like how you said. Like, I love showing them Spanish stuff, because the first thing our people think here is much, even though we're right here, and they go to the same thing as us, and we see it right there. We see how many people look exactly like us below the border. I just like to show them that, to show how evident, how real to your face it is. Even certain Moors. I don't know if you come across this. I've come across Moors who you can't talk about nothing outside of America to. They get to talk about, it doesn't matter. So what? It's right here. I'm like, hold on. We are international people. That was the whole point what the prophet brought to us. He talking about Tunis, Tripoli, Algiers, Morocco. So
yeah, man.
I say pictures. I'm just agreeing with you adding on, because little do we know, it never ends with the artistry on that. Like, you can find images. You get what I'm saying? Like just coming from that black background, where we study for weeks and argue for hours over a statue, or a foot of a statue, or a dreadlock that fell off a statue somewhere. It's like, well, why don't we go to the Moor word, and we can find thousands of this. We can find pictures, paintings, writings, right? Or if you're looking at, if you're a legal beagle type, let's go to these laws that was. So to me, it just pervades all. You know what I mean? When you go into science, if you go into a person who thinks black, what they're going to give you? Egypt, 6,000 years ago, I found a hidden papyrus maybe. When you go to the Moors, we can tell you some science that was handed down right now.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Some law that goes with right now. Some way of eating or food that you could use right now. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
I wanted to touch on what the brother was saying, and that's why, like, part of, like, how I see it is, like, to getting us to unify is to come to, like, almost like basically like a respectable common interest with each other. because like you said, you know what I mean? Like it's always gonna be, some people that are saying, oh, okay, well, I'm not feeling what that says, or I see this statue or whatever, but it means this to me, or I perceive it this way or that way. So, you know, it seems like we're always in looking at history, period, you see that with every group of people, you know what I mean, you always have people that's, really going to do something else. You know what I mean? You can have, 100,000 saying that, okay, we did it to the Moorish way, or we dedicated to, a Christian way, or whatever it may be. But 100,000 of them might not really be walking even really what they believe in like that. So I say the same thing with like the unifying. Like I see the unifying with our people is like, you get individuals to put their money in the pool for interest. And you know that, okay, when I get my interest, I got plans to make more business secure moves. But I know my brother or my sister that when they get they cut, 9 times out of 10, you know, this person, they might not do that. You know what I mean? But we could still work to with each other with, a respectable common interest. And what that may be, I don't know all the details for it, but that's something that I think will be able to help our people come close together without so much friction. You know what I mean? Because people really respect what they already know or what they current know. So if there's like a common respectable level ground that we can come to, then I think that's a fast way to grow unification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, too, and yeah, the more I feel like grounded we are, we'll have the ability to unify with a level head. You know what I mean? I have something queued up as far as dealing with the concept of Jew, and I think it's a good way to present it. Here's a timeline of Jews that were expelled, and the point of interest that I want to focus on is the 1492, but really all the way to the 1500s. It's saying Jews were expelled from Portugal. Uh, the the Holy Roman Emperor had a decree, 1492. King Ferdinand and Isabella. They united forces, their kingdoms, to sink a portion of our empire, or the Red House, or the Alhambra. And you see right here, it's called the Alhambra Decree, right? So what I'm getting at is, this is a way to be like, oh, they're always talking about the Moors or the Jews. It was an edict issue called the Alhambra Decree, which was a decree to go into the Red House, or the part of Al-Andalus, or what they call Spain now, where the Alhambra was at. If they were successful, that's now called Spain now. Those Moors are forced to get expelled. If they can't wear their turbans or fezzes in public, if they did stay, they will be referred to as Moriscos. So that would make us the Jews that they're talking about right here, right? So these are things that I presented to the public, like these type of narrations, and they open their eyes, like, oh, I didn't, it's a different narrative than what they've been hearing. And I had something queued up. It was an article that I had just now. I think this was it. Yeah. So this is during that time. It was a composition talking about the Blackamoors and Queen Elizabeth I, and as we see, 1596, how the Blackamoors got expelled and were forced to adopt, Christ and the gospel under that paradigm, expelled from Spain and Portugal. And these are things that we could, conversate with our people about. We got reduced to the terms negars and blackamoors, right? I wanted to add that as far as, like I said, we're talking about diplomat, ambassador, um, having a nationality, just knowing your culture. Because remember, a lot of our people waking up to culture. You got people that have been cultured around us, so we trying to just be fluid like everybody else. Like so, but for us, the only difference is our people got to learn how illustrious our culture was, and then start, living it in real time as we structure ourselves politically as well. You know what I mean? And that's like once again, that's the whole point of having holy books and for character, keep our character intact, make sure we having level-headed dealings and fair dealings and stuff like that. But I yield the floor. I know you had an astrology piece, brother, and I don't want to take too long. Brother Benjamin Bay, you got the floor.
Ross Maria B. Bay. Okay.
Ross Mariah. Benjamin Bay, you there?
Yeah. What's up? I'm here.
Yeah, you got the floor for the astrology piece.
All right, Islam, I'm ready for it.
So I don't know if you want me to just scroll and just want to just go over what you see or whatnot, or elaborate however.
Yeah. All right, let's get to it. Let me read like this part, or you want to scroll down a little bit, or?
Oh, however you want to go about it. You want me to scroll down?
Oh yeah. That's just the zodiac wheel right there. I gotta for sure. But I would say, as far as the Bible, because I ain't never seen like this type part. This goes along with like the Bible as well. So according to your like rising sign, I would find what your rising sign means in the Bible and go read that chapter in the Bible, because each chapter is like the test of the Lord. They're telling their story how they came across the Lord and what the Lord taught them, or when the sun was in a particular constellation. The sun was the lesson that the sun is teaching. So all Aries sun have a certain lesson. All Capricorn sons have a certain lesson. Like carry on. I would like.
Yeah, you breaking up. I think you're moving around. You breaking up real bad.
No, I'm right here with it. I'm not even stationary. Yo. Was that?
You good now?
IBT. But yeah, right here with this chart right here, I would say whatever your rising sign is, I would try to find that rising sign in the Bible and compare that chapter to your life. Like whatever that character went through, you can use those applications for yourself. I mean, so that's what I did, because I'm a Cancer rising, so I figured out what Cancer was. It was the guy who was looking for the treasures underground, because a crab is Cancer rising, so crab, it's in the sand and it comes out of the sand. So I would have to, go through turmoil, quote unquote, to learn my lessons, because you can't really move fluently through sand like that. You kind of got to have some strength, some endurance to get through sand. And that's probably why the crab has the attire he has, the hard shell, to get through the sand, to cut through with ease. And that's a lesson as well. So you meet somebody that's going through something like, oh, okay, cool. I lived through quote unquote the uphill battle, so I can teach you how to do it. Same as Jesus, same as Noble Drew Ali. I've been through the South. I've seen what the people have done. This is what it is, and this is the remedy. So I yield. But you can scroll down. I can start like reading. But I would say, find your rising sign and find that chapter in the Bible and try to resonate with that within yourself to learn that lesson. And that's a testament to knowing thyself, with the internal, and you use the internal to operate the external to elevate yourself. But here we go. Often associate themselves and others by their astrology sign and zodiac sign, which is properly their sun sign. It indicates the sun was the day began their navigation on the earth plane. So basically wherever your sun is, where your heart is, because the sun astrologically controls the fifth house, which is the heart or creativity. I mean, so at the core, what are you? What do you like to create? And how does that, your core is going to shine out into the world. I mean, so me, I'm Aries sun, so I may seem very, uh, head on, or the leadership thing, or always trying to be out front, or always, I don't know if you notice, I'm always like, oh, hey, I got this to say. Oh, I got this to say. You know what I'm saying? That's the Aryan sun in me. I always have like, oh, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in first. Kind of like a child. They're gonna interrupt whenever. They don't really know. Like, my brother Mafia could be talking, and little Junior could be like rah 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 rah, but he could be in the middle of a deep presentation. Little man not caring about that. That's that Aryan fire. Because you really can't control fire. Once you light it, it's gonna be doing the whole doogie, and it's beautiful, but it's a dance. So I'll say that. As far as your sun sign, that's what shines the greatest. So at the core, how do you shine? You know what I mean? It indicates the sun was the day began the navigation of the earth plane. The ascendant, which changes every 2 hours on the eastern portion of the earth, gave rise to the personality and the body form. So your rising sign would be like the bricks on the outside of the house. Like, how does the house look? You know what I mean? So that would be the rising sign. How do you appear? The moon sign was determined by the location of the moon. The moment of fertilizing waters caused the walls of the womb to swell and burst. This gave the soul placement on the physical plane. So this basically is the body. You begin your navigation, your navel. Everybody got a navel. When you cut the navel, you begin to navigate. When you're going to begin to walk, like use Brother Mafiel's son again, that umbilical cord was cut. He hasn't learned to walk yet, but once he learns to, he'll be crawling, navigating, walking, navigating. And then when he gets up to term to actually go into the real world, Brother Mafiel and the mother are going to give, our young brother the tools to operate in society, to be industrious, based off his outside appearance. You know what I mean? Or, how his house is made. You begin your navigation when you're cut from your mother's umbilical cord, nave L, navigating of the L's. Additional aspects of you were determined by the location of the other planets. Where Mercury, he imprinted the intellect and reasoning faculties. Mars gave you the dynamics and passion and active energy. Venus determines where your pleasures and love in nature would be. Jupiter decided how your growth and expansion would unfold. Saturn knew, as the father of the ages, where your obstacles needed to be placed on your discipline and develop your character. Uranus knew that what changes you needed to encounter, therefore determine your impulses for change. Neptune knew your images were hidden and offered them back to you so that you could imagine your necessary changes. And Pluto knew the deep within your transformations would be and how you would unfold them. So I would say, look at the planets as like stations in a weight room. Okay, we got Saturn as triceps. So if you're trying to get your triceps strong, find the Saturn in your chart. Okay, cool. I got to do these type of Saturn exercises to get my tricep up. Jupiter, find the Jupiter weights or whatever the Jupiter application is, and strengthen that. You know what I mean? So whatever your birth chart is and what area of life with the 12 parts, the planets, wherever they fall in those houses, those are the workouts, quote unquote, that you need to exercise to elevate your soul or the self. You know what I mean? So if your Jupiter's in the third house, you're right, okay, cool. Let me go over to the station right here and work on my Jupiter in the ab section. So wherever the ab section is, that'd be the third house. So let me go to third house matters and work on Jupiterian things. You know what I mean? So right here, when she's explaining about Mars, Venus, Uranus, the whole thing, look at that as, tools for you to elevate the self, kind of like a gym. So use your astrological chart as a gym, and each department is, faculties. Oh, I can do arms, let me do legs type deal. That's how I personally look at it. You're still dealing with the anatomy of the body, you know what I mean, and the mind, and training or quote unquote and working out. It helps that, because you can actually feel your muscle and the contraction, but you got to have the thought process to know what you're working. You're like, cool, I'm working on pull things. So now that I'm working on pool things, my mind is going to be more contracted on that. So I'm thinking about the pool. I'm thinking about Jupiterian things, expansion. I'm thinking about Uranus, things that change. So if I want to deal with things that are sudden change, I will go with Uranus. So if something sudden happens in my life that I wasn't prepared for, I'll be like, all right, where's Uranus in my chart so I can see how is the higher reflecting on Earth, you know? And here we go again. All the planets were at the scene of your birth, bringing the gifts to bear unto you. So those gifts would be the weights. You know what I mean? Those weights to help you, get stronger within yourself. You know what I mean? So how you going to use the barbell, dumbbell, jump rope? If you got bands for, more eccentric things, although some of the aspects are how the planet's communicating. So right now, Benjamin and Brother Mafiael, I'll be Jupiter. Let's say he's Mars. How are we communicating from the corporation Alabama to the corporation California? Are we parallel? Are we, in a square? Are we 90 degrees? Are we in a trine? Things of that nature. So when they say, all those aspects created, it's like the conversations created through the planets. So how is your Jupiter nature in coherence with your Mercury? So how is your higher thinking, connected with how you think? How can you take your not lower thinking, but your earthly thinking and elevate it to a higher consciousness? So let's take Noble Drew Ali. He said all the things I said, spirit. How can you take the connotative earthly words that Noble Drew Ali is saying and elevate them to a Jupiterian experience, to a higher learning, to an overall national perspective, as Noble Drew Ali says, so nations across the world, but the more is needed than most. So you can take a person's personal experience and use it for yourself, even though you never met this person. They could be across the Atlantic, but y'all can have the same experience, but they can tell you their earthly experience and you can see the higher aspect in it, to elevate yourself, as Noble Drew Ali did. For us. But keep moving on. A created may seem to be burdensome or conflicting. It is the way you must go. It is the road you must take. It is the blueprint. Get that blue Bible. But yeah, it is the blueprint and the master navigation chart for you. Find out who you are and what is your purpose. Look at your house sign. Look at your house your sun sign was in. It usually determines the department of your life will be best expressed in yourself. It's like the most important part in your body is, in my experience, is your heart. If your heart not pumping, you can't do nothing. You know what I mean? So you find your sun in your chart, and you're like, all right, at the core, if I'm doing this, all other things are going to follow suit, because at the core, this is what I'm doing. And you're on Earth to deal with your karmic experiences. So that doesn't mean anything bad. It's like whatever flesh you had prior to this one, whatever you did, it reflects this, good, bad, or indifferent. So like, cool, my son is here. So that means in a prior life, I was doing things that required my son to be here. You know what I mean? So you look at it as a neutral perspective. You don't look at it as like, oh man, woe is me. Woo-woo. Okay, cool. We're playing spades and I ain't got no spades. So I got to make do. I got to just, damn, these were the cards. It's neutral, and that's not the easiest thing to do as well. But what else are you going to do? But play the hand that you got, but that makes you more, I would say more tactical, because everybody else got quote unquote handicaps. They got the spades, they can cut whatever, but you got to think strategically. So you're going to be on your Jupiterian tip. You got to think higher. You're like, man, I gotta take the stairs because I don't have the card to cut that. I don't have the energy within myself to attack this head on. So I gotta take the quality that I do have and do the best that I can. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't got no dubs, I ain't got no spades. I'm gonna try to work these diamonds the best that I can, And that goes with, where your son is at. All right, cool, my son is here. That doesn't mean that I can't do 1, 2, and 3. According to where my heart is, I'll do what my heart desires, and off of my heart desires, everything else will unfold. The most important thing to know is that all these aspects of conversations are determined by your mother. Why? Because the mother builds the body. We all were in our mother for 9 months. Everybody. That's the first school. Whatever our mother did, we inherited, good, bad, and different. You know, when we got out, if she gave us, you know, further wisdom, or we had to find it ourselves, you know, but our mother was the first shop to create, you know, that vehicle to more than land. Where she was and what she is thinking, drinking, eating, saying, and doing at that time, not only at your conception and your birth, but throughout her masterful work of building Solomon's soul of man or soul of mind's temple, without sound or saw or hammer. Know ye not that your bodies are the temple of the living God? So, you know, that internal force within you, that tiny voice, you know, that's the case within your body. You know what I'm saying? You can hear outside of yourself and you can hear eternally. So are you gonna adhere to the inner voice, or are you gonna adhere to the outer voice of yourself? You know, so you know, that's on you. You are a product of nature, and it is imperative that you begin to live your lives according to nature. And that goes back to the Moorish prayer, you know. You know, Allah is my protector, my guider by night and by day. You know, Allah would be the zodiac, Al descended of length, angle, and width. So that would be the zodiac, you know, and the zodiac is a part of nature, you know, water, fire, air, and earth, you know, that, and apply the principles of laws of nature, fire, air, water, and earth. And I guarantee you all will come unto you. So that will be, you know, if you meet a mate, you know, you want to make sure that if you're fire and maybe she's air, but fire and air, it moves, if it's brought together the wrong way, if you had a big ass fire. So if you were the wind person, they could possibly get you flared up, you know, if you two don't know each other. But if you know each other, you can control the how much fire oxygen, or wait, how much oxygen that the fire gets to make it rise or keep it at a civil level, kind of like a lighter. You know, that's a controlled environment for fire. You know, so think about that. If you're an air sign, you know, you probably would want to be a lighter to your fire companion, because you don't want to set them off. You know, because we are the products of nature. We are water, air, earth, or water. And how are we going to operate that? All right. Your life unfolds just as the sun unfolds in its cycle. The sun gives life to all seeds that cosmetic mother plants. You must think yourself in the same way. Your seeds are your thoughts. Think good thoughts and watch them manifest as tend to your garden and apply the principles of the laws of nature. So think of your mind as a garden. You know what I mean? You got two halves in the garden. You know, you don't want to manifest, you know, quote unquote bad seeds or bad thoughts. You know, if you like start thinking quote unquote bad things, then they start to manifest. You know what I mean? You're like, man, this hurts or something like that, and you end up hitting that part of your body or something like that. Or the other case, you like thinking about somebody and they call. You know what I'm saying? So you planted that seed of the person, and it manifests them contacting you. You know what I mean? So it's just always being, you know, thought of the higher self and the lower self at the same time. Because right now we do have the internal voice within us, but I'm using my outside voice. But if I just close my mouth and I started like speaking from internally, can't nobody hear it, and then benefit anybody, you know, but me. So you got to know when to speak things to yourself and benefit, and speak things outside of yourself to benefit, because you don't want to not uplift fallen humanity, and you are humanity as well. So it will behoove one to have that positive internal dialogue, you know. The sun's appearance on the rise of the ascendant line Aries in the north hemisphere of the earth, where it ushers in the nature's new year. This is spring season, or the vernal equinox, which brings us equal day and night. The sun then moves into Taurus, which is fixed, stable in the middle of the spring season. So if you look at the zodiac, the Taurus is between the first house and the third house, because you got the head, you got the neck, you got the shoulders. So the head, first house, Aries, second house, Taurus. Like, if you know what the Taurus signs look like, kind of look like a neck, you know, a little bit. You know what I mean? And that's like the control. So if you don't have control of the neck, you ain't got control of your mind. You know what I mean? So if you ain't got a lock on your values, your mind gonna be messed up, because you ain't got no security. You know, because the ground or dirt is secure. It don't move unless you move it. You know, so if you got if someone else is, you know, got a hold of your values, let's say your 14th Amendment mindset, that's your second house. So your first house is going to be scrambled. It's not going to be stable. You know what I mean? So you make sure that you definitely have Noble Drew Ali's teachings in your second house or your neck. So when you go to move it back and forth, it's precise. You know what you're doing. It's not being controlled by an outside source. 14th, 15th Amendment practice. All right. All right. So let me get out before I went to that. The sun moves into Taurus, where it's fixed or stable in the middle, because the neck is in the middle of the head and the shoulders. All right. At spring season, from there, the sun moves into Gemini, where it mutates out of the spring season and turns into Cancer in the north. This is the summer solstice, where the sun remains for 3 degrees, which is days, because etymologically speaking, the word degree means day. All right. So you got the 40 days of Lent, which means the 40 degrees of Lent. So from 40 degrees from Pisces to Aries, that's the 40 days. That's the whole Lent thing from Pisces to Aries. That's the Lent. So 40 days and 40 degrees. Those people that have the dark cross in their head, they're just exempt. They're just mirroring the sun going from Pisces into Taurus, which is 40 degrees, which is like maybe the middle, the end of March into April. So that's what these people are giving up, the things where Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. It's just the Christ within you getting rid of the stuff that anchors you down. You cutting that off like wintertime. Jesus had to go in the wilderness and contemplate himself. Hey, I got to get rid of this, that, and the third. When I come out of here, I got to make the right decision, So that's what you're doing. That's what their example. They're just cutting off lower self activities, and going with the higher self. Aryan thing. That thinking about Taurus earth things, that thing about Aries is fire, and fire goes what direction? Fire goes up. Fire never goes down or out. The flame is always going up. So it's a higher self. So in those time of Lent, you're getting rid of those lower self qualities and obtaining those higher self things. So, it behooved one to find Noble Drew Ali in that time, The summer solstice, where the sun remains 3 degrees, 3 days, brings the longest day of the year. The sun is at its highest point in the north, and the summer is initiated. The sun moves into Leo, where it is fixed and dignified in the summer season. It moves into Virgo, where it begins to mutate in the summer solstice. So where the closest place you find Allah is in the heart. So within your birth chart, the closest place to find Allah within yourself is where the sun is. You know what I mean? Because what does Allah do? Allah guides you by night and by day. So wherever your sun is, that is going to guide you by night and by day, wherever house it is or how it's speaking to other planets. So find your heart, you find yourself, because we all come to this planet via karma through Allah, through the descendant, length, angle, and width. So how are we going to handle ourselves length, angle, and widthly, if that's a word, according to the zodiac? We're going to turn away from those carnal customs, and look toward the sky, look at that fixed nature. You know what I mean? When the sun turns to Libra, it is on the descendant. So think about your waistline. You know what I'm saying? The sun is where your waistline is, the kidney area in the west. And in Egypt, they call dying westing, because when the sun's going down in the west, it's dying, it's going out of light. So westing would be kind of the same as dying if you were reading like Egyptian things. And it is beginning its descent into the colder days. So right now, the sun's in Scorpio. At here right now, we had a tornado last night. It's going crazy. As I said, a testament to Noble Drew Ali. If you don't adhere to this, earthquakes and other things going on. You got 30 degrees one day, 40 degrees, and 80 degrees. That's not that's no good. That's no bueno for weather. That's gonna cause some disturbances. It's kind of like being in the shower, you got to go in, it's warm, it's hot, and then immediately someone comes and turns it cold. You're like, whoa, your body gonna get super tense. You're like, you may get upset. That's how the weather reacts. The wind's blowing hard, there's lightning, there's thunder. You probably cursing like, what the are you doing? Like, it's cold as hell. You comfortable, you doing it up, and then it's on cold water, and that disrupts the whole earth experience, which earth would be your body. Now the body's frigid cold and just an extreme temperature change. You know what I mean? That way. So we're in these times now. As far as what the sun is astrologically in the sky, Here, the fall or autumn equinox takes place once again. We have equal day and equal night. It moves into Scorpio, where we are right now, Vedically speaking. So people will be like, "Oh, Scorpio season well, technically is, or Sagittarius season is technically Scorpio season because right now, when Jesus got or stabbed in the side, the scorpion has that backbiting ability." So that's what that story is. Judas would be Scorpio. Why? Because he got stabbed. And the 30 pieces of silver is a testament to the eighth house, because the eighth house is your inheritance, and shillings deal with money, and money is technically deal with inheritance. So inheritances right now. So when the sun gets pierced, that's piercing the nations or everybody else. The Romans killed off Jesus. As the sun goes down, metaphorically, they're killing off our eighth house. They're killing off our inheritances, things we can benefit from in the second house, our values, our everyday bread. Because if you ain't got nothing saved up, you ain't really got no everyday bread to go out. You kind of need a savings, quote unquote, account or a checking account to go do things in the world. You know what I mean? I'm sure Brother Mafiel has, dividends here, so he can go make small purchases. But if you don't have nothing set or notes behind himself, he can't really do nothing. He's been backbidden. Eighth house, his inheritance have been taken, so he can't provide for his family. He can't provide for himself. He can't provide for what he values, because the eighth house is adjacent to the second house. So you got inheritance and values. Because you value what you inherit. You know what I mean? If your grandma give you something, your anybody give you something that's worth something, you're gonna inherit. You're gonna value that. You know what I mean? So that goes back to Noble Drew Ali. In these times when they, transitioned Noble Drew Ali, they took our inheritance. If you think about it, because Noble Drew Ali is a metaphorical of Jesus. He took all the covers off. When the sun comes out, you see everything. When the sun goes down, you're going to think probably a dragon's behind you. It could be like a possum or something. But the sun comes out, oh, it was just a possum. Damn, I thought it was a dragon or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So, saying to say these darker times, and when the sun is in Scorpio, that's a testament to when Jesus was, apprehended by the Romans. And that's the same with testament right now when Noble Drew Ali was apprehended by us, that we wanted our desires over our discipline. We were in our scorpionic area, our lower selves. And lower self is ruled by Mars. Not to be vulgar here, but most of our lower self parts look like a gun or something. And a gun does escape things. It protrudes things. When we use our private parts, we're releasing things in our body, and that's the same thing with the sun and Scorpio. They're releasing that venom, piercing the sun or piercing Jesus in the side, so he's going to lose life. So, you want to be careful with your desires. You don't want to pierce your desire into something and lose your life or lose your life force. You know what I mean? So you be careful with that right now. But to move on, not to elaborate on that and all that. Well, once again, we have equal day, equal night moved in Scorpio, where it is fixed, and the fall season, the fall of the sun, and on to Sagittarius, where it mutates out of the fall season and continues its descent into darker, colder days. So yeah, not that you're down and out, but you really find the higher qualities in dark moments, ironically. Like, dang, man, that really was this, but within that, I found this. So now that you've been to the bottom of the bottom, you're being raised up now with Sagittarius, it's higher thinking, but you're still in those darker days. But through those darker days, you do find light. You kind of got to have a little darkness to appreciate the light. You know what I mean? So when the sun moves into Capricorn, it's at its lowest point in the south. And that reminds me of when Noble Drew Ali was like, I traveled in the south and I saw. And Noble Drew Ali was born in January. And that's when the sun is in Capricorn. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah. So when the sun is in Capricorn, you see everything. When the sun, you can see everything when the sun is out. So Noble Drew Ali is the equivalent of the sun. Took all the covers off. You know what I mean? So when the sun is out, think of Noble Drew Ali. I'm not trying to be dogmatic there, but to put together the seasons and Noble Drew Ali, and astrologically, because he's an astrological prophet. You know what I mean? And he represents that higher force of Jesus for all, because the sun shines on everybody. The sun just don't shine on who it wants to shine on. So Noble Drew Ali is like, this is a Rotarian complex, but the more it's needed us most. So it's like, okay, cool. Everybody's outside getting some sun, but maybe the pales need less sun, you know? So the sun will be more beneficial to the people who have more, darker skin tone. That ain't a hate on the people that don't have it, but it's like, no, these people really need this. You know what I mean? And that's where Noble Ali exerts. So as I'm reading this, try to keep Noble Ali within the mix of it, so it doesn't seem like you're just looking up at the sky and wishing shit. Excuse my language. When the sun moves into Capricorn to the lowest point in the south, bringing the winter season and the shortest days of the year. The winter solstice, which takes place December 22nd, the sun remains in the same degrees of 3 days, after which December 25th, it ascends like a new birth or resurrection. And that goes to Aries. And continues on its path. The sun then moves into Aquarius, where again it is fixed in the winter season. So think about your foot, your knee, and your ankle. Your ankle is between your foot and your shin. You know what I'm saying? But think about what your ankle do, and it looks like the pitcher of water. And if you lift your ankle up right now, it represents, it could look like a dude pitching water. So if you lift your heel up right now, you can like pour water, or like that motion of pouring something. You know what I mean? And when you lift your ankle up, it strengthens your knee, or not your knee, your calf muscle, and that's Capricorn. You know what I mean? So as you steady, you build your foundation. So as you more flex your ankle, you build your calf muscle, and your calf muscle is connected to Capricorn with your knee, and that's your foundation. You know what I'm saying? So when Noble Ali saying steady, pour water into your foundation. You know what I mean? And your calf muscles is your second heart as well. So, so if as long as you're getting the blood in there and circulating, it's going to grow and it's going to probably do its thing. Same thing as your mind. As long as you're steadying, and it's new age, new birth, as Noble Ali says, new era of time now. So that new era of time comes from a new birth, new resurrection of thought, a new birth of thought. You wake up tomorrow and think about some shit you never thought about the day before. There's people that wake up tomorrow to see something. Oh, I didn't know I was a more yesterday, but I'm more now. Same thing. That pouring that water into their foundation, or their calf muscle. Every time you lift your ankle, your calf muscle is affected. You know what I mean? So think about that. Every time you steady, you're building your foundation, or you're building your Saturnian area, even though Saturn is ruled by Aquarius. Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn. Because you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined to study. I'm sure, I don't know who does backflips. Like, let's go read this book. Let's go read this law book. I mean, that's cool. I mean, I'm sure you can do that, but like 8 times out of 10, no one's trying to, doing cartwheels to go read 300 pages or something. You got to have real discipline to do that. You got to be neutral. So that's what Saturn does. As long as you're steady, lifting that Aquarius ankle, strengthening that knee or your foundation. You know what I mean? Because people that got weak, you ever seen people with veins in their legs and all that? That come from not, being mobile. And you take that from being not mobile in the mind, being black-minded. You have no strong foundation. So if you're not constantly trying to pour water into yourself, you'll be stagnant. But pushing forward, and it continues on this path. The sun then moves into Aquarius, where it's fixed in the winter season. Then it moves into Pisces, where it mutates out of the winter season and begins to climb towards the exaltation as it comes full circle back to the ascendant line and begins a new year, and that's Aries, because after Pisces comes Aries. So you got the big water belly, and then the belly bursts. You got a new year, a new physical thing, that's full of life, crying, pooping everywhere, doing the whole thing. Just kind of mold that into an industrial mind and society. It's a proper bar. This progression or movement of the sun brings once again the spring season, or the vernal equinox, a new cycle. Like Prophet always said, this new era of time now, so that we got to think Aryan. We got to burn away the old thinking, and bring on new things. Because when you burn some away, you got to start clean. You got to sweep them ashes away. Whatever you put on fire, whatever's left, it's really not usable. You gotta start clean. So when Noble Ali came, he was like in the air. He was burning all the stuff up like the sun. Oh, get rid of that. We're starting a clean slate now. From now on, more American. that whatever you called yourself before. So your new era or your new birth mentally would be, Moorish American. And then from there, you operate the ego or the body within that Moorish American mindset. Man. All right. Here we go. As above, so below. Higher self, lower self. You know what I mean? You got the brain, you got the body. You got the internal voice, and you got the outside ears. It is important to note that the sun does not move around the earth. The earth rotates around the sun, which is illusion. Same thing, go back to Noor Ali. You'll be stuck in what he says if you don't think all what he says is spiritual. So it may look like the sun is rising, but it's not really. You gotta actually know. You gotta, go further than what's being said to you. I mean, just like us. Like I see Brother Mafiel right here on my Zoom call, but I know he's more than what my eyes actually see. As above, so below. We always gotta constantly stay in that pocket. The formative progression is true as the sun reflects upon the earth. And, this whole life is about reflection. There are many other elements in the cosmos that have effect upon the earth. And when you say earth, we're literally standing on the earth. We're part and parcel of the earth. So whatever affects the earth affects the human body. So every time you hear earth, think about your actual body. When speaking on the zodiac, we have 9 other planets, 12 houses, and 12 cellular lights called sun signs, and which shine their angles of light, which are angels, and energy from the heavens on the earth plane. These angles are referred to as angles of light. Yes, I mean. The zodiac is broken up into 3 major areas: houses, planets, sun signs. The planets move throughout the 12 houses, giving off certain energies. The 12 signs move through those same houses, and they channel the energy in planets into certain traits or characteristics. The houses that the planets and signs are in determine which areas of life are affected by the influence. So, for example, let's say Ben, my sun is located in the 10th house in the sign of Aries. So I would have to do information about the sun in the 10th house and the sun being in Aries, and what aspects or conversations that the sun is having from the 10th house in Aries. So if it's in the 10th house and is, opposite, triangular, or trine or square, I have to know that. So when I go out into the world, I'm not confused and I'm not operating wrong, off of, my sun sign or where it is. I'm operating adjacently because I know it's kind of like getting in your whip and ignoring that it doesn't have gas in it. And you like trying to push it, like, what the fuck is going on? I'm not going anywhere. And that's the same thing. If you're not really aware of, your cosmological makeup, you come in contact with another human being, there probably may be friction all the time. You're like, man, I always have this, or this is always happening. Go to where, that sign is. If it's communication, Mercury, if it's emotion, like when I'm ever around this person, I always feel like this. So, okay, find where your moon is, because these are my feelings. This is how my mind operates, So that's what, with that saying, with the influences, where the houses, where the planets are in each house, in each sign. It's kind of like you walking into someone else's house. You're going to act differently because it's a different jurisdiction than your house. You're going to have more power in your crib. So the sun in its home sign will have more power than it being in the opposite sign. So the sun in Leo is comfortable than the sun in Capricorn, where it's ruled by Saturn. So you're ruled by someone else. They got to tell you what to do in there. Like, I'll go to Brother Mafiel's house. I can't go in the refrigerator and do the whole thing. I'm sure I'm welcome, but I'm about to do certain things. Like, what's going on? I'm in there, he already got something open that he's sipping on. I'm taking that down and all that. He's like, what's going on, my brother? Like, that's kind of out of your jurisdiction. You're kind of in the sign of Mafiel's house. You know what I mean? You're not in Leo where you can do your thing. This ain't your house. It ain't shame on you, but it's like, you're gonna have some respect. You're gonna operate differently. And that's how the planets are. They operate differently because they're pure energy like we are. Our pure energy goes somewhere else and we're not feeling it, we're gonna act a certain way, the same as the planets. That's why we have thunderstorms and all these things. The planets are in certain positions to give off certain energies. You're gonna get lightning, you're gonna get thunder, you're gonna get rain, you're gonna get wind. These type of things are happening in people. Some people get to communicating in certain areas they go, and then some people stop communicating. So some people want to bring a firearm in certain areas. You know what I mean? Because that's what the area brings out in them, because they are not, aware of themselves. Okay, cool. If you know that you were probably going to pull a firearm out in this place, you probably shouldn't have gone there. You know what I mean? Probably be somewhere where they, take firearms and this thing. But if you don't know that, it could be catastrophic. But Noble Drew Ali says again, you don't adhere to these principles, the worst is yet to come. All right, but pushing along. The zodiac is broken into major houses, planets, suns. The 12 signs move through the same houses. They channel the energy of the planets and certain traits or characteristics. Houses that the planets and signs are determine which areas of life are affected in their influences. The most powerful influences are from the 7 planets, 7 eyes of Allah, the 7 ruling powers. Remember the circle 7. There's this 7 thing right here. The 7 ruling planets are the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And that goes back to Vedic astrology. They didn't use Pluto, Uranus. They only use the 7 in the circle 7. Noble Ali uses the 7 as well. We're not disregarding that, but to keep it simple, to keep it straightforward, we can use these 7 planets, and we have 7 major organs. So if you can find where your 7 major characteristics are within the zodiac, you can operate accordingly. And we would need these BS shows about men who think women should need this or women think men should need that. I'm not hating on that, but if we know our qualities of our nature, we know that, because we're like, hey man, if I got bald tires and it's raining, I'm not gonna be going 70 miles per hour. Because why? I know nature. That's the same thing in us. If I'm fire sign, why would I go to a earth sign? They're gonna be more low key. They're not gonna give me the wind that I need to keep my fire going. I'm gonna need somebody who's communicative, because once I blow on a fire, I'm giving it options. I'm giving it options. I'm raising it up, and that could be good or bad. You could be raising somebody up to do something that's unimbalanced, or you can be raising somebody up to keep the balance. It's all how you want to do it. But the core of it is knowing the nature of those 7 pure energies within yourself. If you have them, and they're expressed outside of you as well. Pushing forward. The sun gives you life and determines your character. Moon determines your emotional self. Mercury determines your mind and intellectual self. Venus is the love nature. Mars is your energy and actions. Jupiter unfolds all your gifts. Saturn cultivates discipline. All right, and that's that goes along with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That these aren't simple. These aren't this isn't rocket science that I'm reading right here. You know what I mean? Find your Venus. Is there Venus sign in the house adjacent to the thing that you love? Do you love? Let's say it's in the 7th house. Do you love relationships? Do you love contracts? Do you love being with one another person? Does that resonate with you? Did you live your life like that? Those are the questions you should ask when you're looking at your chart. Because it's just an astrological representation on you on paper. Kind of like your quote unquote birth certificate. You got all your information there, whether it's corporate or not. You got your height, your weight, your skin tone, your mom, your dad, the whole thing. That's the same thing as your zodiac. Your mom, your dad, your cousin, your brother, your career, the whole thing. You just got to know how to look at it. It's kind of like if Brother Mafiel handed his his heir, I'm not sure he had a birth certificate, but it's a paper with his information on it. What he gonna do? Probably ball it up, try to eat it. He don't have the intellect yet. So he has to cultivate that so he can value it. Type deal. And that just goes to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Man, it's simple. It's like, hey, son, this is how you feel emotionally. And if he sees his son doing a certain thing, he's like, okay, cool. Your emotions look like this. Let me see where your moon is. Oh, you really love that. Let me see where your Venus is, where your passion for that is, where your love for that. Or if it's funk, he's like, oh, my son don't like that. My hair don't like that. Let me see where his Mars is. He got a good bit of energy, and he's showing a lot of action towards this. Let me see what's going on with this right here. How can I construct this energy for my son to elevate himself? To be industrious in society. To keep this whole life thing going. While the 7 ruling planets, which are in rule of everything, as Noble Ali told us, they created everything, which is important because when people think about astrology, they think like, oh, this. I'm like, no, Noble Ali, told us it's a science book, but the 4 brackets, the 7 inside, if you understand science, you know what that is, and not from a dogmatic perspective. So honors Noble Ali to really, testament to symbols because we didn't really share things with words. We all share things mentally. I learned that reading the book. I'm like, wow, all our stuff comes from the mental things. So it's like we didn't really deny write anything. So the pyramids really shouldn't have been a thing because if all our stuff comes from our intuitive thought, that means we really fell to a very low place where we needed these big ass structures to to remember who we are. You know what I mean? That's not a grade to us, but it's like if we can pass information mentally, intellectually, why do we need to bring 100-ton stones from like Missouri to California or from Alabama to California? It's like, damn, how the hell they bring them stones from way down here over here and do that? It's puzzling. But maybe that wouldn't have been a thing if we knew who we were and we were operating accordingly, and we didn't need these symbols to get us connected back to the higher self or to the galactic part of it. You know what I mean? Because all this stuff is galactical on Earth. Just as when we're manifested, where the planets are is how we're going to operate. While the 7 planets bestow the influence upon you, your individual self or body personality is determined by your ascendant sign. This is a sign that is on the horizon at the time of one's birth, hence your ascension or beginning of travel through the zodiac, the earth plane. So the first house, second house, third house, we all got to deal with these 12 facets of life, within our cosmological makeup. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto are not left out. They are higher octaves of Mercury, Venus, and Mars, respectively. It seems they give you a second chance to fine-tune yourself before Jupiter bestows your gifts. Lest Saturn will make you do it all again, because remember, Saturn has rain. It's like, wee, woo. You know what I'm saying? So why does it keep happening to me? Because you're not learning the lesson. That's why. Those Saturn rains are doing you up. Second chance to fine-tune yourself. Jupiter bestows your gifts. Lest Saturn will make you do it again until you get it right. It's kind of like grandma and granddad. You gonna be here all day till you get it right. Well, that's too damn bad. You ever seen like, I'm sick of grandma. Well, that's too damn bad. It's kind of what Saturn does. Like, hey, that's a shame on you until you get it. I'm not gonna let you move forward. Being in society, being incoherent. I wouldn't be Saturn if I did that. Come on, I wouldn't be granddaddy or grandma if I didn't tell you the proper things to do. I've been here a good minute. I've seen the phases. So you may seem that you have the experience, but you do not. So adhere to what I'm saying, as Saturn does to us in our individual lives. So if it's happening to you, like, damn, man, what's going on here? Like, it's Saturn teaching you, like, just slow down and be like, all right, cool. What do I need to learn in this instant? What am I doing? Am I hitting this wall and keep getting knocked down? It's kind of like a mirror session for yourself. Saturn will make you do it all over again until you get it right. Pluto deals with death, blow, until you regenerate. So when you think of death, don't think like the whole body and the whole thing. That does happen too. Think of like death in the mind, death of Negro black colored thinking, death of what you thought you were before you, found your astrological makeup or your Moorish makeup. You know what I mean? So think of Pluto metaphysically, because this flesh is gonna perish anyway. Like that's inevitable. You know what I mean? Like this is gonna fall off. So you think about death, don't think about the physical shit, think about the mental shit. Excuse my language there, but think it mentally, when you think death, because death is no enemy to man. Man is mine. We're gonna shed this and we could be I don't know, Thanos somewhere or something like that, good enough. It is said that you will not get out of this universe until you have passed through the rings of Saturn. Saturn will not let you pass until you discipline yourself. Kind of like grandma and granddaddy. You got them parents out there, anybody like, nah, nope, or some coach, it ain't gonna happen. Nah, I remember grandma one day, I hate salad. I hated that back in the G. I stayed there all day. I put salt, pepper, sugar. I ruined this salad. But grandma Saturn, no, you gonna eat that. You ruin it, that's you. And now it's easy for me to do it. Ain't nothing for me to get the greens in, but I had to go through that Saturnian lesson to, to get that. My grandma didn't hate me. She's like, no, I know you're not. You know you don't like this. You was eating, candy, Doritos, all this stuff. You're a child. I put a Caesar salad in front of you. You're like, what is this? This is from another planet. And I don't like this. That's kind of what Saturn does. Like, what do you mean? I was cruising. I'm doing my thing. I'm being lazy. What you talking about being better for myself? What are you talking about, Saturn? Yeah. You got to step up. But when you leave your house, you're gonna have to do something to help somebody else, or the whole world become lazy as fuck and it's gonna blow up. And that's not what life is about. We're here to know thyself, not know thyself. So grandma helped me know thyself. She wasn't the best eater, but she's like, no, you eating this. This is a part of everything else. So think of Saturn as that. Don't think of it as a hater. It's like someone is, you don't understand it, but it's for your greater good. And that's what Saturn does for you. So think of it as neutral. Don't think of that. And there's lower self. It's an illusion. We use this body to get over those illusions to elevate to ourselves. Saturn will not let you pass until you discipline yourself properly and know the laws of nature, which are cosmological makeup: earth, air, fire, and water. As you must take them with you wherever you go. So that's the Morris prayer. Allah is my guider by night and by day. You can look at the zodiac all day, all night. Constantly, in that mind state. It has been written that the chosen few, 144,000, which is those 144 carnal nerves inside of you. It's all internal. So when you think about 144,000 being saved, that's a chemical makeup within you. You have 12 carnal nerves in your brain that are connected to your mercurial veins within your entire body. So you restore your brain, you're going to restore those 144,000 neurological pathogens within your body, which brings back our ancestors, or when you think, and it was like, you are your ancestors, you create that. Or they say the Cosmic records. I think you're X-Men or something like that, but it's kind of like that. You kind of restoring your body. You're reactivating that. It's kind of like getting an oil change at a conveyance shop. That's what the Moorish Science Temple of America is for the body. You think internally. You're using both sides of the hemisphere. The 12 carnal, nerves that you have in your brain that go out the entire body. Which is activated by the sun. The sun ignites that, and the moon regulates that. Because we're matter and light. We're sun and moon encased together. Falsehood and truth in one. So when you hit that 44,000, don't think outside of yourself. Think inside of you. There's a Christmas tree on the inside. So once you know what Ali, you get what he's saying, you light up. Hey, shout out, bro. Got to slide early. Islam to your fam.
All right, Islam, brother Trey.
This will fall as truth when each one of us comes back to the lessons learned lessons of each sun sign. Thus, 12 times 12 equals 144. So you got 12 signs of the zodiac. That's 12 this. So you got 12 signs of the zodiac adjacent to the 12 carnal neurological brain things you have inside of your body. So how does the sky correlate with your anatomy or your body? You know what I mean? So don't fret about your accomplishments or disappointments. You will return until you make yourself whole, and you will return to receive your honors, awards, and achievements. All that is in the cosmos are lessons and laws of nature. We must learn and know them all, and this is the truth about our divine faith. Let's get it. At this time, we are in the age of Aquarius, and age is determined when two ruling planets meet their path. They travel together and create magnanimous magnetic influences of their traits and attributes of the sun sign they are ushering in. An age occurs every 2,166 years. Aquarius is being ushered in by Uranus and Saturn. So Uranus is in higher octave of Aquarius. I remember reading that earlier. So Saturn would be the mundane part of it, and a higher level of it would be Uranus. So it'd be like, okay, you got regular math and you got AP math for those. Like, I don't know if they do that up north in the school system, but they got regular math and like an advanced math. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it is. You got an earthly Saturn, and then you got a etherical Uranus. You know what I mean? Type deal. That's kind of what that is. It's a higher octave. You know, Uranus usually bows down and bends to no one. It's asking what we it's asking that we heighten our love nature to altruism, which is love in our broad spiritual sense for all relentlessness. Saturn is making a statement that if you do not, you will be severely disciplined, severely disciplined. It is clear that we had all buckled down in our instruction because of the rays of Uranus and Saturn are dynamic. In fact, Uranus energy is tearing down institutions because that's what his in electrifying impulses does. It will tear down any institution that is not founded in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. He is now giving rise to the fall of the Catholic churches and the failure to public school systems, the rash of corporate America and the U.S. democracy. These planets have karmic duty. That made me think about COVID when they was teaching the children online and all that. You know, that's very Uranus in nature, because like that's a whole new paradigm, and the the the, the parents at home couldn't operate the computers as well as the children did. You know what I mean? So the children's basically teaching themselves. They logging on, they doing the whole thing, you know? That's the change in the public system, how you public educate, because now my nephew teaches me stuff on the computer thing. I was trying to do something on his game and he kind of locked the keyboard and I couldn't move nothing. And I couldn't move anything. I'm like, what's going on? I feel like a retard. I'm like, I done played Xbox, PlayStation before, but he got a keyboard and Xbox and all this. I'm like, what's going on here? I can't, but that's the new time now. You know what I'm saying? So we got to adhere to that. Breaking down those structured mindsets. Being a PS type mindset. I only had a controller. My nephew got a controller and a keyboard, so he can use a controller and a keyboard on the system. You know what I mean? So we got, that would be like your Moorish birthright and nationality. We only have 14th Amendment, so now we can go 14th Amendment and Moorish birthright and nationality and compare. It's like, I don't really need this controller, Uncle Ben. I can do everything I can from this, keyboard now. The keyboard would be nationality and birthright. In my mind, it's more converse, is more universal. Everybody use the internet via keyboard, but you kind of got to have a sole device for a PlayStation or Xbox controller. So the 14th and 15th Amendment would be that. It's a controlled area. With the keyboard, you can do this, and you can use that just like the controller. Use your Moorish nationality and birthright like the 14th Amendment, but with rights and other privileges. That type of deal. That would make me think of that as far as the Uranus thing and breaking down the public school system in corporate America, and the parents are being forced to kind of teach the children now, because if they're not going to school and they're just turning on the computer, what are they doing? Are they standing them up for 8 hours? So it's coming back to the people, that karmic debt. Like, now would you teach your children to go out into the world instead of the US? So whatever karmic happens, did you impute that into your child to go in the community? Because the US didn't teach them that. Remember, you're the teacher now. So let's hope you gotta know what you gotta leave behind. Let's move forward here. I see the sun and moon as mother and father. The sun, father, sparkling life, and the moon, mother, giving birth perpetually. Yeah. I see the planets of their children dancing and playing, going to and fro. Of course, that becomes their own playground. The signs are stellar lights that shine upon the planets. Arrival as they both, planets and suns, travel in approved course as set by their parents, in and out of many mansions in the sky. So the mansions would be the houses, and there's some big ass houses, like 30 degrees in the sky. So to measure 30 degrees in the sky without it being sectioned off is kind of tight. To have Sagittarius and Scorpio like literally 30 degrees away from each other, like in the dark ass sky up there, like that's and they didn't draw that, that's a real thing. So I understand our ancestors. travel an approved course set by their parents in and out of the matches in the sky. The entire collective body of entities in the cosmos are intertwined and relentlessly uh, demonstrate the laws of nature regularly planted in divine, natural, and law of order. And that goes back to the more Shemaiah prayer. You know, all our gods this, by night and by day. So you look at the sun and the moon, and the rest of it is like I said, big ass playground. So how are Mercury and Jupiter playing with each other? What moon is the moon giving a trine instruction to Mercury? Is it giving a parallel or opposite? How is the mother, quote unquote, or the moon talking to your Mercury? How is your mother talking to your intelligence? So how does your mother speak to you? So if your mother don't know your cosmological makeup and she's speaking to you as if your Mercury is in Sagittarius or your Mercury is in Virgo, she probably think, oh, my son and my daughter, they think like this, they think like that, but she don't know your makeup, So your mother or your moon doesn't know the aspect of the communication that you have within your chart. So where is your Mercury compared to your mother's moon? And that kind of get into composite charts, but that's the whole thing. Like when you meet a person, you see how your natures are compatible. It's kind of like a thesis statement. Like I went into the field, I got some experience research, I'm gonna bring it back to the lab and test. Same deal. So you go out into the field, you meet a shorty or and all that. Okay, cool. What's your credentials? Let's compare. And that ain't gotta be like for the world to see, but that's how things go. Honor the CM Bay. We're gonna honor nature. We're part and parcel of nature. Why are we not operating out of that? And marriages could be better. And last longer. And you can bring soldiers and tenfold children to the earth. Okay, I want to have a child that thinks like this. They're passionate about this because you can literally look at the cosmological makeup and see where the houses are and be like, okay, cool. Let's conceive at this time. You know what I'm saying? You're in control of your creativity at that point, or your son. You're all right, cool. How can I point this angle of light to benefit society? You know what I mean? And that angle of light would be the sun and a trine to Mars. So now when they get that energy from Mars, it's trine and it's coherent, it's not in balance. So imbalance will be square or opposite. So if you're just getting down and woo, 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 oh, I have a child now. All right, bet. The sun is square Mars, but you don't know that. But your child has a ego problem. Every person they meet of authority, they're trying to get down on. They think they know more than the authority because they got the passion of Mars, but it's conflicted. They don't know how to properly use it. So you think your child is bad, they got ADHD, they don't know how to use the authority. It's like, nah, when you conceive this child, how the sun was talking to Mars was not good, And that goes back to the responsibility of mom and dad or the sun and moon. So if the sun and moon in the sky kind of did their own thing and got out of the actual orbit, she'd be fucked up. And that's, excuse my language, that goes back to people with fucked up parents, excuse my language. But if the mom and dad and the sun and moon are not balanced, and they don't know that as a father, I need to spark shit. And as the mother, I gotta, perpetually, preserve this, then it's whacked up. And that happens every day. We got family members that create children and then, you become a distant or extended father or something like that, but that's the candle. But I said it to say it's important to know your sun and the moon because that's your right and left brain and your hemisphere, The right side will be the moon, the left side will be the sun, and then the middle will be the children. So within your left and right side, how are you learning? How are you dealing with discipline? You know what I'm saying? How are you using your higher intellect? How are you dealing with your ideas and your feelings and all that, To expand on this paragraph right here about the sun and the moon and how it's intertwined with the laws of nature, because we're always dealing with, fire, air, water, earth, higher self, lower self at all times. And so we too are to act of nature and be definitely affected by the movements of the cosmos. These movements create 131,760 astrological types and 100,031,400 varieties of personalities a year. So exactly right now, whatever's on the rise as a mother in a hospital somewhere giving birth to one of these 131,000 personalities. You know, it's a clock. It's literally like clockwork. These souls are coming in. It's important we know the astrological makeup of them right now. Like, you know, a lot of children are coming in with the Jupiter and Aries. So that would be eyes wide open, as Norbert Ali said, because they have the passion of Mars and they have the higher learning to see above the BS. So if you are poised and you can see like above the forest and still like eyeball a target like an eagle. Like an eagle is always flying above something, you know. But the higher intellect and knowing above it all, it can see the minute detail. It has that Martian energy to, okay, cool. That's the little mouse I need. Let me go attack that. You know, so that's right now. It's like my brother, you know, Mafiel, you know, right now his son, Jupiter's in Aries. You know, he's gonna have an expanded mind about himself already. See who his dad is. He knows self expandedly because Jupiter expands things, Mars energy, so expanding that higher knowledge in an intensive way. Like literally, probably Norbert Jolly say they're gonna come in seeing and knowing. I see what my dad is doing, so I'm gonna know what my dad is doing. I'm gonna have the energy of Mars to do it too. You know, I'm not going to be wasteful. I'm not going to know what I'm going to do. It's kind of like a bullet leaving the chamber of a gun to hit the target, you know, not to kill, but to hit the precise target. So it's like, okay, cool. Brother Mafiel, I appreciate you for letting me use this demonstration as well. My brother Mafiel is going to give, you know, the bullet of knowledge to his son, and his son has that, you know, Aryan energy to shoot it where it need to be. And his dad is lining it up for him. His dad is the higher knowledge. His son is that lower.
Brother Benjamin Bay. I thought you was giving an example, but you know he's a Leo.
Yeah, which is even better. But I'm just speaking about like the energy he has as a adolescent.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
As the martial energy of all children. Like I said, like you put them outside, they're just going to destroy shit because they don't really know what's going on. But as he gets older and he knows his values, he'll get those Leonian traits. So now that Martian energy, along with his Leonian traits, will combine. So now when he goes outside, he'll be aggressively creative. He'll be like, "Oh no, I ain't. I'm doing this right now. I'm gonna build this." You know, instead of just being all over the place, he'll be structured in what he's creative in, and he'll have the Martian energy to do it. So while he's a Leo, wherever his Mars is, that'll ignite that. You know what I mean? Type deal. For sure. But yeah. But as his son being a Leo, he's gonna want to shine. He's super creative, you know. He's gonna be, you know, in a government, you know, arena because when the sun is out, you can't see nothing else. You know, think about that. So when his son is going places, most likely he's going to be the eye of the room where he's going to attract that energy. But that's what the sun naturally. You know what I mean?
They love him too, man. He in the store. They love him.
Yeah. And he's always in bright colors and all that. I saw him with the turban and things. He looked just like I'm like, well, he looked. But it's literally like you chill to see how, you know, we're just coming back. You know what I'm saying? And to the karmic of his son, right? His son is not coming in Negro black color. His son is coming to Khalifa society. You gotta think about that. His son is not just that flesh, you know, he's a soul. So his son's soul has benefited to get this knowledge at a very young age. We didn't. I was born Negro black color. You know, it's like 93. I'm seeing my mother and my father doing this crazy stuff. I don't know nothing about Morris. My man sees more stuff every single day. He came out the womb like that. Like when he was in the womb, this Morris thing was going on. So it's like that's just a testament to the zodiac, what we're saying, you know, and the brother here being in line with the cosmos, you know. Like you saying, hey brother, I know you're an example of my son. My son's a Leo. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, I know the cosmologically of my son. He's not dissing me. He was like, no, you know, my son's a Leo. I'm aware of, you know, his astrological makeup, and he's the son of the chart, of his son's chart. So wherever the sun is in his son's chart, that's Brother Mafiel. And wherever the moon is, that's his mother. So how is his mother and his father communicating to help him? And he would be the rising sign. So wherever his rising sign is, that's him. His father and mother, moon and sun. So how is mother and father communicating to impute the knowledge in him? You know, and how is he communicating with his father and mother? Is he adjacent? Is he trine? Is he square? You know what I'm saying? As he grows, these things happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, dad, I see this way, and it may be a little, break off. Not like a bad break off, but that's the point. Like, oh, yeah, cool. My son's thinking is this. Let me go check and see how he thinks, so I can assist him. You know what I mean? That's what the chart is for. Astrology is for. But push on here. I think I thought. Yeah. I think I'm on the next one because I remember reading the 131,000 joint. But yeah. Shout out to Air though.
Yeah, no, I think that was a good. I think that was a good little segment. I want to close out with this chapter from the Circle 7 Quran, dealing with inconstancy. And wait, I had a question for Brother Rocky. Was that insightful? I know you were. I know you're into that space. What's your thoughts on the astrology piece? For some reason, I was thinking about Rocky the whole time he was speaking. Are you still on? Oh, there you go.
Hello. Sorry, had it on mute.
Oh, sorry.
It was pretty good. I learned some new things. I never saw like Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto as being higher octaves of Mercury, Venus, and Mars. But it was kind of I just kind of let that marinate. It was interesting. It was pretty good. I took a lot in. I like that little diagram with the little, the seasons and the mutable, but I like it. There's obviously more like your north node and your south node. Like your north node is like your purpose for a lot of people, and then your south node is, what you may have to overcome, to reach your purpose. But that was really good.
That's mad important too. What you're saying about the North Node and South Node, your future and your past. That's definitely key. But I yield for sure. That's real.
Wow. Yeah, and we'll continue. A little more. We'll continue next week from where he left off too, and dissecting it, because that was like an introductory to a degree. But that's why I like how you gave the narration and expounded on stuff. That was very insightful. All right, so I'm gonna close out with this chapter on holy instructions from the prophet dealing with inconstancy. Inconstancy, when you look that up, is basically unstable, inconsistent, etc. The nature urgeth thee to inconstancy, O man. Therefore guard thyself at all times against it. Thou art from the womb of thy mother various and wavering. From the loins of thy father inheriteth thou instability. How then shalt thou be firm? So how do you, the inconsistencies, your flesh may cause you to be like that. How do you balance that out? Those who gave thee a body furnished it with weakness, but he who gave thee a soul armed thee with resolution. Employ it, and thou art wise, be wise, and thou art happy. Let him who doeth well beware how he boasteth, for rarely is it of his own will. Is not the event of an impulse from without born of uncertainty and forced by accident, dependent on someone else? To thee and to accident is due the praise. Beware of irresolution, in the intent of thy actions. Beware of instability in the execution. So shalt thou triumph over two great failings of thy nature. Instability in the execution. So if we have a goal that we want to manifest or execute, or a plan that we want to execute, have a habit of making it happen. Don't want to be in the habit of, if we can help it. I know things happen, but we want to have goals. We don't want to be wishy-washy. Stick to the plan. What reproacheth reason more than to act contrarities or contradictions? What can suppress the tendencies to these but firmness of mind? So only thing to suppress inconsistency will be firmness of mind, right? You want to be firm in whatever plans you got, for example. So work it out to the end to execute it. You will need a firm mind. The inconstant feeleth that he changeth, but he knoweth not why. He seeth that he escapeth from himself, but he perceiveth not how. But thou incapable of change in that which is right, and men will rely upon thee. Establish unto thyself principles of action, and see that thou ever act according to them. So shall thy passions have no rule over thee. So shall thy constancy ensure unto thee the good thou possessest, and drive from thy door misfortune. Anxiety and disappointment shall be strangers to thy gates. So once you rule over, if you don't have rule over thy passions, then it's going to be inconsistency. Anxiety and disappointment. But on the latter, anxiety and disappointment shall be strangers to thy gates. If you are disciplined, you are consistent. But remember, the title of this chapter is Inconstancy, which when you look that up is dealing with inconsistencies. Suspect not evil in anyone until thou see it. When thou seest, forget it not. Whoso have been an enemy cannot be a friend, for man mendeth not his faults. How should his actions be right, who have no rule over his life? How should his actions be right, who have no rule of his life? If you can't rule yourself, then you can't. Your actions can't be right. You can't be consistent in anything. Nothing can be just which proceedeth not from reason. Proceedeth not from reason. Reasoning will be sound-minded, balanced, consistent, is reasonable, versus unreasonable, which would be inconsistent or inconstancy. The inconstant have no peace in his soul, or the unstable, right, have no peace in his soul. Neither can be at ease whom he concerneth himself with. His life is unequal. His motions are irregular. His soul changeth with the weather, right, inconsistent. Today he loveth thee, tomorrow thou art detested by him. And why? Himself knoweth not, wherefore he now hath it. Today he is the tyrant, tomorrow thy servant is less humble. And why? He who is arrogant without power will be servile while there is no subject will be servile while there is no subjection. Today he is profuse, tomorrow he is grudgeth unto his mouth that which it should eat. Thus it is with him who knoweth not moderation. Who shall say of the chameleon, he is black, when the moment after the verdure of the grass overspreadeth him? Right, because they'll turn green. Who shall say of the inconstant, he is joyful, when his next breath shall be spent in sighing? Right, one moment happy, one moment sad, not rooted in anything. Like earlier, we just, as the wind blows, fragile. What is the life of such a man but the phantom of a dream? In the morning he riseth happy, at noon he is on the rack. This hour he is God, the next below he is a worm. One moment he laugheth, the next he weepeth. He now willeth, in an instant he willeth not, and in another he knoweth not whether he willeth or not. Yet neither ease nor pain have fixed themselves on him. Neither is he waxed greater, or becomes less. Neither hath he had cause for laughter, or reason for his sorrow. Therefore shall none of them abide with him. The happiness of the inconstant is as a palace built on the surface of the sand. If something's built on sand, we know it's not no foundation. Inconstant characteristics, that's opposite of being firm and planning.
Sandcastle edition. All Sandcastle edition.
Yeah, sandcastle. That's not foundation right there. The blowing of the wind carrieth away its foundation. What wonder then that it falleth? But what exalted form is this that hitherward directs its uninterrupted course, whose foot is on earth, whose head is above the clouds? On his brow sitteth the majesty, steadiness in his port, and in his heart reigneth tranquility. Though obstacles appear in his way, he deigneth not to look down upon them. Though heaven and earth oppose his passage, he proceedeth. The mountains sink beneath his tread. The waters of the ocean are dried up under the sole of his foot. The tiger throweth herself across his way in vain. The spots of the leopard glow against him unregarded. He marched through the embattled legions with his hands. He putteth aside the terrors of death. Storms roar against his shoulders, but are not able to shake him or shake them. The thunder bursteth over his head in vain. The lightning serveth, but no show of glories of his countenance. His name is resolution. He cometh from the utmost part of the earth. He seeth happiness afar off before him. His eye discovered her temple beyond the limits of the pole. He walketh up to it. He entered boldly and remaineth there forever. Establish thy heart, O man, in that which is right, and then know the greatest of human is to be immutable. So this chapter dealing with inconstancy, the fruit that grows from being inconsistent or unstable, and that's dealing with actions, emotional state, mental state. So the whole key is like the brother just went through the astrology piece. Know your current state of mind. Know what you're dealing with. Know your chart to counteract and become balanced. But that's what stood out for me in this chapter. Anything stand out for anybody in this chapter? Are you on mute? Are you on mute right now? Can I talk, Benjamin Brady? Yeah, there you go.
My bad. But like the camelback, what you're saying, as far as being Sperman thinking, you go inconsistency that goes with Saturn, and that's a testament to Saturn not being quote unquote bad. You know, Saturn requires consistency. Think of your kneecaps. If your kneecaps just kept going back, you couldn't stand straight up. So the application of energy of your kneecaps could be the consistency or compared to the inconsistency of mind. You know, so just to keep it astrologically, whatever all bro was saying, you know, within the scriptures, think of Saturnian and not the negative parts of Saturn. You know, think about the constructive or the consistency or the stability of Saturn. You know, this chapter will be a testament how to use your Saturnian energy within your chart. You know, wherever your inconsistency in mind, you know, try to use the Saturnian mind to strengthen that. You know, because all is mind. You know, so this chapter will be represented for the inconsistency of mind to, you know, assist the ego. You know, so honors to Saturn in a non-dogmatic fashion. And I yield.
Wow. Wow. Anybody else have any thoughts on this chapter? We close out. All right. I'm gonna close out in prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. Peace and love, everybody. Hope everybody has a beautiful rest of their day. And yeah, I'll see everybody throughout the week, Sunday. Peace and love. Islam.
All right. Peace and love, everyone.
Peace and love, Morris.
Peace and love, Morris.